only a million years since the last show, just 7 days ago. So there's this guy
So long.
that drives vehicles, a truck, as a matter of fact. Not an American, but
Does she think that his tractor is sexy?
probably. To be fair,
Okay.
I mean he's Indian, so he probably thinks that all sorts of things are sexy. Anyway,
Okay.
so
Goats in
this guy,
particular.
he,
Bob's truck the Gene.
well, if they're not shitting up the streets, they're shitting up the highways. What can you say? So he made a U-turn, just in the middle of the fucking.
There's been a rash of those going around.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
there's rather a few videos, at least 2 others I've seen since this happened. And this guy, he killed a family of 3, and
Oh, we're talking about Mr. Harvinder,
Mhm.
Mr. Singh.
we are. And well, I regret to inform you that his change.org petition, let me just refresh that, because when we started this recording, before actually starting the show, is at 1.725 million. It is now at 1.75 million. Despicable fucking monsters that want
we have to,
something a little nicer.
let's add some clarification to the change.org petition. Like any other online petition, there is no residency requirements or anything else. The guy was Indian. The Indian population is about 1 billion people. And
Now,
I think only about...
If you read them, you can see which ones are from here and which ones are from not here.
Yeah, it's fairly clear.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it isn't, but that's going to contribute to that number, right?
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. I was going to make exactly that point. You're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah. No,
so you have tribal community that is international on a 1.6 million change.org. That's why stuff like change.org doesn't really matter, right? Like, it just doesn't.
Well, like last week, they did a petition. The Parliament of Great Britain did a petition. People put it up and were like, "Hey, could you please give us our human rights? The stuff that we were born with." Of course, they. What the fuck are you talking about? You're stupid. Shut up.
Yeah. So I think that's when we see 1.6 million, we shouldn't react to it and go, "Oh my god," because I'd be willing to bet you that 70.
I'd be willing to bet
India. Well, the thing is,
probably
all I can
half,
say is
I
didn't
half.
see 1.75 million people calling out for the trial of a certain individual for the certain death of a certain Austin Metcalf.
Well, see, that's different, right? And the other thing too is that one of the things that we've learned as time has gone on is that non-white people have a tendency to have very strong intra-tribe bonds. Right, like they are united by their skin color and country of origin and shit like that, and that's not true for white people. So it's not what we would consider a standardized poll. When we look at the Austin Metcalf thing, turning around and saying 12% of the country, 36 million people, if you got up there to the 1 whatever, 2 whatever millions, that's not really a surprise. You have 36 million people, 85% are on welfare. Like, what the fuck do you want from me? You know what I mean? Like, they have all day to go fucking masturbate and click a petition.
They do that.
So I'm not super, it's kind of offensive because there's people who died, right? And every time we have one of these, right? Like that,
kind of disgusting.
It's disgusting that you have people already calling for a reduction in whatever because people died, and I think
it was just a mistake, a simple mistake. He just can't read English. Come on, guys.
And that's the other thing too is now we're talking about terms, and they're using the term accident and mistake when this guy made I'm sure that he did not intend and plan to kill people, but he made an intentional action. You can make the argument that it's not manslaughter, but it's absolutely negligent homicide.
For a mistake, he's been making the same mistake since 20-something, 2019, 2018.
And speaking of mistakes, we should probably talk about the big mistake our dear friend Gavin made, which unfortunately resulted in this individual receiving a CDL, despite the fact that he failed basically every single cognitive test related thereto. You know,
Oh,
it
well,
is
and
kind of worth
I think
mentioning.
there's more to that, right? Like I think they've done some. The last I read, they did some digging, and it turns out there's a handful of like this is not a one-off, and
Oh
I'm not
no,
talking
and
about like a
handful
foreigner
is
or an illegal immigrant having
well,
it.
and
Like
to be
it,
fair to what
it
you're saying, handful is a very kind
I
way of
I'm
putting it.
saying there's a handful of groups, organizations, and people who are doing this en masse,
Hmm.
where it seems to be a giant bribery scheme, and
At a minimum.
I believe that. Yeah.
people will pay to just basically get their CDL. And I think the other
That's
thing that
easy
needs
for
to
that.
be one of the other points that needs to be brought up is why is it that we have illegal immigrant CDL drivers that used to be a
At
very good
all.
paying job? It's not a very good paying job anymore, and that's because they can be. This is a perfect example. Like salaries for CDLs have actually gone down. Like they've gone negative. It used to be like an $80,000 to $120,000 a year job.
Good
If you
American
walked out,
job
got your CDL
for
license, it
American
was
people that are
60 to
willing to work hard.
80K.
Yeah.
And it is a hard job. Like it's a hard fucking job. You're driving 14 hours a day for really long distances. You're away from your family for weeks at a time. Like it's a hard job. It's a hard job for really, really hard people. It's the last
Takes a
vestige of the
hard
American
man to
cowboy.
do a hard job that's willing to bite down and just and do the work.
Yep.
Because
And so
it might
and
be
they
hard
used to be
work, but
compensated.
it's going yeah, exactly that. But
They
it's
might
going to
get
be hard work,
compensated well.
but you're going to be rewarded for the hours you put in.
And I remember looking up because they used to say, "Hey, look, we're hiring drivers. We're hiring drivers." And and they were still sitting there and advertising they were hiring drivers back in the recession, right during the recession
Oh
of
yeah.
2008. They were about 80 to 110 $20,000 jobs, depending on experience. Right, they'd have places that were saying they could start anywhere between 65 and 80, depending on who you were and whatever, and they went up to 120. And if you were owner operator, right, it was like 150K, right?
Yeah.
If you were
And
willing to
actually,
bust
let me
your ass.
pause you for just a quick second on that and add some context to that because my dad used to be an owner operator. To clarify, he's now one of the flagger car drivers that you'll see on oversized loads because he's kind of old, and so he's not loading and unloading trucks anymore. But it's it's one of the few good works that's left, and the only way you get in that
Yep.
job is having been a good driver for years and
Yep.
knowing people in the business. That's the only way that one works. Thank fuck. But with that said,
My father-in-law is he's a delivery driver. Not I think he's sub CDL, or at least, or maybe he has his CDL, or well, CDL has like various grades, right? I don't think he has the big rig long hauler CDLs, but he has the delivery the mid-size CDL truck range driver thing. But like it's a hard job. It's a hard fucking job. They're up early. They drive straight. They have deadlines that they have to hit. They have to be like super. They've got limitations on how long they can drive. Thank God. It would be kind of terrifying if they didn't.
Black Beauties.
But it was it was a very high paying job. It was a good job to bring home a decent wage, and it's a perfect example of how illegal immigration has tanked wages. Because I think the last I was hearing somebody was sitting there reporting that starting salaries are now 55K or less for a CDL driver, or like the average is down to 65 or something like that, which is crazy. They lost a ton of money. And why is it that they lost money? Because there's a shitload of illegal immigrants or visa workers or whatever else. They argue it's a need-based position and they can't find anybody. And the answer is not that they can't find anybody. They just can't find anybody at the wage that they want to pay.
Come on,
And
we want
so
to
you
pay you
have
in cookie crumbles. Why the fuck don't you want the job? Well, okay,
Right.
we'll post a perm listing then.
Speaking of shitload, brief aside, I've been I've been getting into wplace.live.
Oh, there's some interesting things there.
What is this?
I have
It's a drawing program that's based on areas and regions around the world.
think of a map of the Earth and MS Paint combined.
Okay.
and then monetized cleverly. But there is a free way to play, which is actually pretty efficient. Um, although I just recently put in a few dollars just to bump my. So there are levels to it. As you paint more, you earn your levels. Each level gives you more pixels that you can paint total. Like you have like an accumulating amount of pixels you can paint charges.
Yep.
And so you get one charge every 30 seconds. So you can get up to like 28, whatever it is, 2880 or whatever per day. So that's basically that in my opinion is more or less the optimal amount of total charges to have, because then you can come in every day and you have like a full day's worth of shit you can do at once. Although I suppose having more would make it easier to just kind of ignore it for a few days. But anyway, you also get drops which you earn, or droplets, or wherever they are, per level, and then you can spend those to raise your cap as well. So you can actually get to a decent number of pixels you can paint at once pretty quickly. So I went over to this SF area, San Francisco, and because all those people are postmodernists, and you have to reflect reality in all of your escapism, because fuck you, that's why. I decided that San Francisco does not have nearly enough poop on it.
That's fair.
So I've been slowly working my way down from the Golden Gate Bridge, browning the area as necessary.
Accurizing, you mean to say?
Making it. What's the phrasing of it?
Reflective of reality.
I'm giving them proper representation.
Absolutely. Well, you're making it more real. Making it a more lifelike experience for people. They can look at that and be like, wow.
You can't. I'm also I'm taking the role of the VA here, although I suppose it's more of a PA for pixel actor or something. Make of that how you will. And I'm just helping them out with making sure that they are accurately represented, because of all of the street shitting that goes on there. Like the vagrancy problem there is so insane. The fact that there's the constant foot thick layer of human shit and used drug needles and piss jugs.
It's, to be fair, that is a little hyperbolic, but only a little.
No. You're correct. You're correct, because they did clean it up. They managed to clean it up for a day.
Oh yeah, Xi Jinping was coming into town, so it was like, oh shit, the Chinese guy that I really like is coming to town. I gotta make sure things look nice.
Oh shit! What did I just step in?
Also that, which you have to ask yourself, well, is this just poo, or is there a needle hidden in here? Maybe there's some AIDS. Who knows?
Yeah, you see, that's the thing is like I know people that live in the area. My brother's over there, but like I know other people over there, and like he's not the only one among them that says like I don't want my kids walking on the ground out among certain areas because drug needles, human poop. Which
you
can find on the map.
Jobs, actually, I've got a really,
find that on the map
really
into
perfect
a store.
Analogy for you there, because I had a delivery just Friday, when I was working, and I took the food to this house, and they had a really cute little sign on the front door. It said,
"What did it say?"
Oh, you'll love this. Little fingers touch our floors, so please remove your shoes when you come inside. So.
I would have expected it to say when you come indoors. I would have expected it to say when you come indoors for the rhyme, but that's cool.
But yeah, it's like a black family, no less, and it's like, oh, well, that's nice. How lovely.
So responsible,
and also decent temper. To be fair. So just stand up people all around, and I look at this,
and they actually gave a shit or gave a care.
Yeah, didn't give a shit, gave a care, absolutely. And a good tip. So it's like, well, these are the kind of people, the kind of Americans you want. But I've got some good news, fellas. Got some real good news. Out of Marco fucking Bubble Boy ass Rubio, of all fucking people. Yep. And I quote, foreign drivers are, quote, endangering American lives. Resulting in what?
Yeah.
A U.S. freeze on worker visas for commercial truck drivers.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that happens.
Just let me read this from Marco Rubio here itself. We are pausing all issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers. The increasing number of foreign drivers operating large tractor-trailer trucks in U.S. roads is endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers. What did we just fucking say? Precisely that. Yes, thank you, a person in politics, for saying the goddamn truth. Holy fucking Jesus.
I am actually quite pleased with Marco Rubio.
Yeah, I'm genuinely surprised at his, reasonability, because he was not for some time.
He's a good bulldog in his position right now.
Yeah,
I like what he's doing.
I'm legitimately impressed with how he's handling himself.
And when we start turning around and start talking about 2028, we have this is the kind of situation that I really like. Right, I want to have more legitimate candidates that I actually like.
Yeah.
And honestly, the administration's full of them. Right.
Isn't it?
The smartest.
It's ridiculous.
The smartest thing for them to do, because I know that you have the Trump 2028 people out there. I don't think he's gonna run. Ignoring the constitutionality of it. It's funny.
That's just funny.
It's funny, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But what would be really nice. True. What would be really nice is if they turned around amongst the administration that was in there and they worked amongst themselves and figured out who was going to run as the president. And when they finished, everybody else gets to keep their jobs. Because I really like, I don't care whether it's, I don't care who runs the country, whether it's J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or Tulsi Gabbard or RFK. All of them are fantastic. I'm pretty excited about all of them. But if they picked whoever it was, I would be very happy if everybody else kept exactly their job and did exactly what they're doing right now. Right? Yeah. Like if Tulsi Gabbard never ended up running for president, but just stayed director of national intelligence, I would not cry about it. If Kash Patel
keep RFK at
stayed in the FBI,
keep Kash at the FBI, yes, absolutely, because these people are
100%.
At a bare minimum, they're competent and they care.
If you turn around and you say J.D. Vance, he's going to be VP, going to be president, or he's going to run for president, and Marco Rubio is going to be his VP, I am not going to cry. I'm going to cry that we're going to lose Marco Rubio as, Secretary of State? Yeah, I think he is. So I'd be sad to see him go from that position. But I'm sure between that team that they have right there, that they can do great things. And I like what RFK is doing with the Health and Human Secretary position. Like that's fucking. He doesn't do a lot. He doesn't. He's not as aggressive as some people want him to be. But you can't be like I coming from government. You can't be hyper aggressive about things because the system takes a long time. But they are doing stuff that I do want to see. Like I don't think that sitting there and changing food dyes is going to make Americans not fat again. Right? Like I don't think that's the problem.
To be fair, that's
all. No. You see, it has to be the problem. We must externalize our issues.
But I do think things like that does sit there and encourage eating because it's bright, colorful things.
Can we go ahead and just take a moment to reflect on how funny it is that a group of people who are so consistently vocal about how people must take a look at the internal to fix their problems are also so consistently focused on changing the external to correct for those problems? Why? How dare you demand that everyone use your pronouns? Also, nobody's allowed to have this food dye.
And on that note, that is such the perfect segue for food and management and image.
Food management.
Yeah, and image, mind you. And
food image management.
To fucking do it. So this one goes out to Julie Fells Messino, the president and chief executive officer of where? Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
Yes, sir. Oh,
it's funny. They removed the cracker and they kept the barrel. No, they didn't even keep that.
Nope.
They did keep the cracker.
They removed the cracker and the barrel.
Expecting this to come up on this thing, I decided to talk to my wife, who is not necessarily of our same mindset, and also a business has her MBA, and so she's done kind of like what is the perspective of what's going on. And a lot of folks on the right want this to be a culture war thing, and I haven't seen the thing there.
Oh, I don't see that. That's not the issue. They're just doing a Bud Light.
I'll be honest, I haven't
without
seen
the whole trans issue.
I think the bigger thing is that when you start talking about it, right, a lot of logos have basically been removing mascots. It's been a thing. It's been a trend in business for a long period of time.
So stupid. It's not just that. It was also the inside of the restaurant completely changed. They went with the
well,
McDonald's
and that's the thing, right? If you want to talk about like bad business decisions that are kind of on, ignoring the Dylan Mulvaney side of the Bud Light story,
exactly.
The more important aspect of that is
the side of it. Like all of it was bad.
The more interesting business story is the Bud Light story was a case of not knowing your customer base,
exactly.
Right? And yes, she, I understand that she turned around and said it's not a very exciting brand, and we're gonna sit there for the Bud Light thing. We're gonna try to attract all these other people over here because again, this is I think this is the Trojan horse that is DEI.
Well,
they turn around and they say, "Hey,
modern audiences."
Well, it's the fact that she said it's the fact that she doubled and tripled down on saying that the people who are already associated with it were a bad image. They're fratty, they're low income, low IQ.
Yeah,
that's shut the fuck up. It's like it's not that you went and attracted other people to your brand. It's that you actively insulted the present audience for it to try to entice the other people. And that was the wrong thing to do. Absolutely.
That's the culture war element, I think, more than anything else. In this case,
the thing is, you don't have to be specific on it. Like it's just a bad business move in general.
It is. I think in the case of Cracker Barrel, this is similar to the Bud Light thing in that you just didn't know your audience, and the people like I don't particularly like Cracker Barrel. I can count on one hand the number of times that I've been to Cracker Barrel. And I've only ever gone to Cracker Barrel because somebody else wants to go to Cracker Barrel. And I'm trying to be social. I do not particularly care for it. I am not going to go to Cracker Barrel.
Popular down here.
Now, I'll be completely honest with my Cracker Barrel experience. I once upon a time quite liked them and then basically drifted away. In the recent few years, I have attempted on numerous occasions to acquire fucking Valo milk. Which, by the way, it's like a Mallow cup, except they're made with real food. And they're the old school recipe. And the only fucking place in America, other than Valo milk itself, is Cracker Barrel that carries them. Can't get them. Can't fucking get them. So it's like, what the hell? I just want my old school snacks in my old school fucking place. As a matter of fact, one of the best bits of commentary I saw on this was a black guy. A black guy. I swear this motherfucker had to be from Atlanta or farther south than me.
Oh, yeah, the one who said he was like,
I want to walk into this place and feel like Jim motherfucking Crow himself is about to call me boy and give me some of the best fucking biscuits and gravy I've ever had. It's like, yes, sir. That is me too. This is what I want. I want him to be like, oh, hey, red man, I see you come off of the reservation to go get some American man food. It's like, yes, I have American man. Please give me some delicious biscuits and gravy. Also Valo milk. But no.
That was such a good video. I had laughing the whole fucking time.
Well, the problem is that, and I think this is the other thing too. Rebrands, stuff like DEI or all this other shit. It's trend. It's trendy. And the problem with trends is people get bored of them. And Cracker Barrel is not only sitting there and flying in the face of their previous kind of iconicism, but on top of that, they're at the tail end of every other restaurant deciding to go with like a gray-brown, brightly lit interior. And the bottom line is not every restaurant needs to be a fucking Chipotle. Right? Like... That's not what people want, right? Like McDonald's has got if you turn around and look at the new Cracker Barrel design, it's no different than the new McDonald's designs.
Well, to be fair, it's like they asked Martha Stewart, "Could you please design a few appliques for our walls that we can put in our McDonald's?"
Speaking of Martha Stewart and Martha's Vineyard, and topical things actually that have been mentioned in previous episodes relatively recently. Have you heard about what has recently been afflicting the members of Martha's Vineyard?
Affluenza,
no.
Whom I have virtually no sympathy for. Well, you know that unfortunate consequence of getting bitten by certain ticks?
No.
The allergies that come with
no.
No.
it? Yes.
That is the
Yes.
funniest fucking thing ever. They got the
It
Western
sucks
Star
ass.
tick? Nuh-uh.
Yeah. They got the Lone Star tick.
That's
They've been
funny.
getting they have meat allergies after, of course, the WEF bioethicist who said we should probably do this to people. The case number for whatever the hell it's called, the allergy, the case number for that has exploded. It used to be, in the single digit thousands, and it's something like 50 odd thousand a year at this point. It's nuts. It's kind of fucking freakish that it's
Yeah,
gone this
right
way. Now,
after the
I don't.
bioethicist happened,
Coincidental. You might
Yeah,
say.
exactly. That's the thing is if I were a conspiratorially minded person and I didn't think that there's a possible natural explanation for this, like just compatible habitat. The fact that it's made its way to Martha's Vineyard and nailed so many people there is kind of telling. You don't have to think bioterrorism. You just have to think, okay, human traffic across the country.
Yeah, I mean, and that is true, right? Because Martha's Vineyard. So, for those who are not deeply familiar with Massachusetts, Massachusetts has two main islands: Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. Nantucket, both of them are wealthy to-dos, but Martha's Vineyard has always been closer to accessible to the middle class because it's fucking huge, right? Martha's Vineyard is a very big island. Nantucket is not a particularly large island. Both of them are big enough to put towns on, but one of them is small enough to be an exclusive town with limited numbers of people. So Martha's Vineyard actually has a ton of bike trails, a ton of camping, a whole bunch of sea lanes, all that stuff.
Even a few
And
YouTubers.
so I can entirely see folks who were camping in the South sitting there and going up with their camping gear and camping in Martha's Vineyard with a relatively short duration or taking like a road trip or something like that, right? And just transporting it as a species. Now, given that you have multiple infections, this means that the ticks have probably been accumulating on Martha's Vineyard for several decades. Right? Like, it takes a long time to get a breeding population.
Well, that's the thing is ticks, once they can get to the point where they can breed, especially if you bring in like a pregnant female, like local in a reasonably small location, like they will have a small population boom pretty quick. Yep. They can have basically big old flare-ups, but they also kind of self-extinguish. Now, as far as infection pattern goes, for the
kind of like if you were
disease,
to, I don't know, say for instance, bioengineer a SARS-related virus and make it as deadly as possible, the deadly version would, I don't know, for instance, say if it were in China or something, it would, just tear through fucking millions and then kind of dial itself back a little bit as it becomes more acclimated to Westerners and etc. Just as a theoretical, entirely. I am not referencing any sort of COVID-related bioweapons that were released from Wuhan.
Anyway, if you're conspiracy-minded, yes, I suppose you could make that comparison.
You could. I mean, it's not like it came out during the world military. Anyway, go on. What were you saying?
Not much. I mean,
you kind of made we more or less made the salient point here, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
You don't say.
I think it's funny, but I would be very concerned after, like, the bioethicist is. It wouldn't be surprising to me.
It's a fucking bioethicist, no less, saying that.
Now,
shit.
the funny thing is the conspiracy.
WEF, do they only hire supervillains? Really?
The conspiracy wonks are actually the ones that I'm more frustrated with because they've been calling him a scientist or an expert. It's like, no, he is clearly not an expert. Well, I mean, he might be an expert on what not.
Call him a mad scientist, at least. Come on.
Yeah, sure. Like, he clearly is not doing science. All he's doing is waxing poetic on how to kill people. He waxes poetic on how to murder people in millions, or at least severely affect their lives in a negative way. The guy's not a
There are too many
fucking
humans.
scientist.
We must eliminate the human.
The same thing is, he sounds remarkably calm and like he doesn't even have the fucking accent.
Well,
It's
yeah,
annoying.
no, real psychopaths actually come across as pretty normal.
Like in the Predators movie where the guy, like the normal, kind of weirdly normal guy, is the monster. In the midst, like he's the predator amongst the humans. He sounds just like that guy. It's fucking creepy.
Huh.
He sets off all of the uncanny valley warning bells in your mind to go, okay, stay away from this guy.
So I'm not gonna like ignoring. There's one thing between sitting there and publishing ethical, like bioethicists. Their job is to go sit there and pursue ethical dilemmas.
Sure,
right?
Sure. Yeah.
So they're going to
they're going people in Africa. Okay.
They're going to sit there and come down on some of these issues that says, hey, if predicate 1 is true, then what is the logical consequence of it? I'm actually not concerned about the bioethicist doing what a bioethicist does, which is say if logical predicate is blah, here's logical consequence. Because technically,
that's the thing. He was doing it as he was advocating in the parlance of an activist. He was not stating it as a simple theoretical.
I understand, but it is that chain of argumentation is really strongly how it works. My concern would be that vegans would decide it's a good idea.
That's the thing, is I don't know if I was conspiracy minded.
Are absolutely terrorists. Like, not all of them.
Exactly.
Some of them are very nice people. I've met some vegans.
I assume are human.
I know a girl. She's a very nice person, and she's a vegan, and she's actually pretty chill, right? Like
Most of the vegans that I meet are like that.
She's one of the
vegans by choice.
Well, she was vegan by choice. She actually ended up having to go away from being vegan because she got a very severe concussion, and it turns out you need to eat animal protein in order to keep the brain function. Yeah. So that was but she was actually pretty chill. But the reality is that sitting there and turning around and having these people who are vegan, who are absolutely self-righteous, 100% to the core, I could 100% see them deciding in their infinite wisdom to breed these populations of ticks and release them in public areas. Like, I could see them doing that. That's not a crazy thing.
That's the part that I'm worried about. That's the part I'm worried about, is that it wasn't. It's an irony that it hit Martha's Vineyard, and,
right,
and that is what it is. But like, I would not. If I was the conspiracy wonks, what they say, from what I've seen so far, when they get past the whole laughing at the irony thing, is like, I bet you one of them did it. It's like, I don't know that they would have. I bet you that realistically, if it was something that was as egregious as that, it was probably, as you were saying, a vegan that would be responsible, or somebody who is of like mind, who feels like it is their need to impact the entire world and bring everyone to their morals.
Well, I would actually, look at it from the
perspective.
Look at it from the vegans' perspective, and their perspective for a minute is that here is an animal that produces a disease that proves I'm morally correct, right? It's no different than the logic and reasoning that kind of fueled the AIDS pandemic in the 1980s.
And just to dive in on that, the part where you say that proves I'm morally correct, that is largely the insanity in their worldview.
Right.
Like that is the pathological statement that they wholeheartedly endorse, is that there's a worldview that is uniquely correct, and that it is one that they share, and two, that it is moral for them to impose it upon everyone else instead of following it on their own.
Yep.
And
perfect
like
example.
That combination is insane. It's not the clinical definition there for insane, but like that perspective.
Oh, it is. And a perfect
fucking
example.
Wackaloon, batshit crazy.
Perfect case in point example, 100%. Anthony Fauci. He's done it twice.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, he did it to the gays first. His hatred of them and his love for money so deep that he would just sell them poison and hope that they fucking die, glad to take their money.
Yeah, how about that?
How about it, indeed? And just as a quick by the by, talking about taking people's money, we should probably mention one thing on the previous topic here, that being Cracker Barrel, and two of its three largest stockholders. Those being who? Of
Yes,
course, BlackRock
BlackRock,
and
Vanguard.
Vanguard.
Yeah, but they're also the major stockholders of everything.
Everything that
That's
loves
part of the
DEI,
problem.
yes, as a matter of fact.
So, actually, plot twist here. Well, not mean plot twist. Fucking segue. Or not even tangent. Thank you.
John Bolton?
Right? Tangent.
Anyway.
No.
We'll get there.
This
We'll
one
get
is
to
this
that.
one. This one involves no. This one does not involve murdering people.
Oh,
Although
Destiny?
I'm sure you could find a way to do so. No. So I was talking with my buddy earlier. We were playing video games for the show, and the idea of Raspberry Pi came up, and I said, "Oh, well, Orange Pi," because you've mentioned before. Was it that you follow them or they follow you? I don't recall.
They followed me out of the blue. I checked them out. They made
Right,
a pretty
that
cool
one.
product, and yeah, now I follow them.
It turns out there's more of them, and like I mean I kind of had an idea in the back of the head, but I didn't realize it. But my buddy said, banana pie.
I've heard
Yep.
that
Like,
term
okay.
before. Okay, so
Yeah,
basically,
there's banana pie.
So I looked it up. It's like, oh well, shit. There's a fucking banana pie that it's 250, but like it's got 2x10 gigabit, 4x gigabit ports. It's like holy shit.
that's pretty.
This is
good
from
throughput.
doing a Google search and clicking on the first Amazon link, mind you. So
Yep.
this is in no way like, oh, I looked for the cheap one and found a $250 unit. It's just like holy fucking shit.
So
Like, they've got
the
like a decent amount of stuff you can do here.
the biggest problem that you have with a lot of these pies is they are like Raspberry Pi is very, very accessible, and all of these other things do not see. I could not get my Orange Pi to work.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I ended up just buying a 02W and going with that. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. There's limited support, is how I should say it. So
Yeah,
I got
There is
I
something
got
to be
I
said
think
for
I got
market
a
ubiquity.
02W, which is the same form factor as the Raspberry 02W, and they had support for Octopi for an Orange Zero, but they didn't have it for the 2.
Yeah.
And so
No,
that's one of the
that's-
problems that you run into.
Yeah.
And to bring us back to the topic that was at hand, I had a slight tangent off of that. I dropped into show ideas. That the price drop from McDonald's, and so there's this video. Guy says McDonald's can't even sell breakfast. And it's like the pandemic, the prices at McDonald's amongst other fast food chains vastly outstripped the rate of inflation. And they had stated claims on why they were doing it, and it's the thing is they forgot that they're not luxury brands. They've slowly been turning themselves into luxury brands out of nowhere, but the problem is it's not luxury food that comes with it.
Nope.
Right?
By a fucking long shot. So they're starting to lower the prices again. I think it's effective end of the month.
Yeah, it's like, son, you are fast food. You are not luxury.
Yeah, it's like I'm old enough to remember when a fucking value meal was like $5.
Mm-hmm.
And a fucking Happy
I'm
Meal was
old
like
enough
$3
to
or
remember
$4.
10 years ago when I could get a double cheeseburger for $1.
You can still get
Right?
a double cheeseburger for $1, can't you?
No.
Not on the dollar menu.
You
No.
sure?
No, it's not on the dollar menu anymore.
Oh.
It's on either like the $2 or the $3 menu because they have a $2 and a $3 menu now. I think they even have a $5 menu because that should buy you a fucking meal, but no. Anyway.
I probably go to McDonald's like once a year. I eat out way more than I should.
Yeah,
it's
I
just
don't even go that often.
As we all do.
So, it is what it is.
That doesn't surprise me. But like I eat out more than I should. It became habit with 2 people working. And in my area is a tourist area, and so we have fantastic restaurants. Fantastic restaurants that work really hard to stay employed year round. And we get like I guess April to October. We get the leafers and all the other stuff. But so yeah, they work really hard to stay employed year round, and that means that I've got great food, and it's usually at a really, really low cost price. So it's a bad habit that I got into. But McDonald's is something that I probably only buy once a year. Like the cost for McDonald's is not much different than anybody else. And if my choice is McDonald's or Five Guys, and I'm going to pay, like I might pay $30 at Five Guys for my wife and me to have a bag of fries and 2 burgers that are custom made with a whole bunch of really cool vegetables and seasonings and shit. And it would probably cost me $20 at McDonald's for the same thing.
Yeah,
not
like, or $25 at McDonald's. So is it?
Well, time will tell as far as the price drops.
Oh, and speaking of price drops,
and whether or not they're effective.
There is something I should probably mention here in effectiveness.
Yep.
And I would like to mention, as of July 23rd, not even all that long ago, Cracker Barrel Old Country Store Inc., CBRL on the NASDAQ trading charts, was trading at $71.86 as of Friday.
Oh, boy.
It is trading at $54.40.
Oh, fuck. Well, if I was going to try and take over a business and I was going to try and buy them out, I would sure as fuck want to crater their stock value, too.
And the thing is,
I will offer, though.
They've actually hit, this year even, 36.65.
So we have to be very, very clear here, right? Realistically, over the last the rollouts of this new vamping has been for about a year. The outrage is relatively short. Over the course of the year, the stock, I think even today, like it's yearly up like 20% or something like that.
Oh yeah, like I said, it hit $36. It's at 50 plus. So it's not like it's down. It's down from where it was. And on that note, also, I would like to make a quick addendum to that, because there are people that work there that are saying they're starting to cut hours on this. As a matter of fact, I'll read a statement from someone directly here, from a waitress at Cracker Barrel. It says, Cracker Barrel, their aim is for the younger crowds for when they get older, and I can tell you right now, they're not falling for it. We've had so many complaints from people as young as 19 to 26 complaining about their rebranding/design because they crave the tradition of it all. They're already cutting so many of our hours since they're being hit hard right now. So hopefully it'll wake them up to get rid of her. We'll see. But I mean, that is the statement of an individual waitress at an individual Cracker Barrel. So, not necessarily indicative of the entire corporation, but noteworthy.
I think it all depends, right? Like, does she need to be gotten rid of?
Like, we have to see if this turns into a Bud Light or if people are just like, whatever. Yeah,
I think it's going to be a little bit of time. Realistically, I'm sure that she came into this saying, hey, the brand needs a refresh. There's a lot of CEOs that basically...
She said all the Budweiser things.
There's a lot of CEOs that walk into a brand and they're like, how do we make ourselves make more money? And they'll say, oh, well, we haven't had a refresh in X number of years.
Yeah,
and it's like, there's like when you start talking about executives, they've got like a playbook of stupid shit that they say, and it doesn't fucking matter.
They do.
And rebrand is like one of them, right? And so 9 times out of 10, they don't do anything particularly drastic. They do a refresh. They get to gain some PR. All of the stores go down. They kind of come up with a similar aesthetic. This is one of the few times where they've chosen to radically change the store. And I think that's more of the problem.
I wouldn't say that it's one of those few times. I would say it's one of those few times that it has hit amongst the public really hard. Because, and this is kind of important, I think, to the point, Cracker Barrel, in and of its nature, is a nostalgic kind of...
it is, yes.
Kind of an old-timey feel place. Of the places you would do that, it's like, yeah, you get it at Taco Bell. It's horrible, and the places look like fucking Corpo Slop buildings, but you get it. McDonald's, they're a giant fucking corporation. You get it. They're very modern. You get it. But Cracker Barrel, what the fuck are you doing? Steak and Shake, for instance, they've been ragging the fuck out of Cracker Barrel on this shit. Like,
I was going to bring them
our
up.
logo back in like the 70s and haven't changed it since. What the fuck are you doing?
So important thing on Cracker Barrel and Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake has largely not even been promoting their own brand out of this. They've legitimately just been focused on Cracker Barrel when they've been talking about it. They don't follow it up with like, yeah, but you can get all this and more at Steak and Shake.
Oh yeah, no, they've
Cracker
just
Barrel.
been straight ragging on Cracker Barrel. They haven't even advertised on the back of it.
Exactly. It's just been like it commenting on how dumb the move is and how like this shit should not be tolerated. Which I agree. They're doing massive brand damage in the hopes of gaining a wider audience, as they always justify,
audience, if you will.
Yeah, but and if anything, whole Gamergate 2 thing and SBI, etc., like the whole collapse of this woke empire.
Come on, Craig. Donald's gonna say it. You know he is.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Carl, but that's not happening. But it's just, but the whole collapse of it happening because the modern audience didn't evaporate. It never fucking existed. And
yep.
Continued attempts to will it into existence by people who simply lack the capacity to connect.
If we throw more money at the non-existence audience, they'll totally appear out of thin air. Come on, guys, what are you doing?
When we first started talking about AI years ago, right? Like AI should have taught 2 lessons to people, right? And my first take on it was the first thing that we should have learned is that creatives aren't, because the first jobs that AI was able to eliminate is basically creative output, right? So clearly that's the lowest ladder on the intellectual. That's the lowest rung on the intellectual ladder is quote unquote creative content. The second thing that should have been learned there is that the age-old philosophy question of does life imitate art or does art imitate life was answered in one fell swoop. Art imitates life. 100% we can generate art, and it's only based off of imitations of other art or other pictures or other things that we are seeing. It is not something that is actually created. It is not something that inspires. It is merely a replication of other shit that's around you. And so when we sit there and we start talking about like the DEI stuff, the modern audience thing, I think, is basically a group of people that have thought that they can not just will it into existence, but that literally their art can imitate life. And they're wrong, right? But it is that philosophical question. No, I think
you meant that life imitates art instead of the.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
You're correct.
Oh, my bad. Shit. Yes.
Yep. Just to clarify, that's all.
Sorry.
Yep. I think that's really what you're dealing with is these people who thought that A, they were more intellectually significant than they were, and B, that they could have an outsized influence than what they do, and they just didn't know.
Well, I've got, in my opinion, a very poignant quote I'd like to share from, ironically, a human-written AI. From an absolute classic. Absolute classic. If somehow you haven't seen the movie War Games, see it. Mm-hmm. Excellent film. It's fun, but the message, very powerful, 100% modern. Anyway, I'd like to quote the AI itself. It was called Joshua. Anyway, a strange game. The only winning move is not to play.
Yeah. So speaking of not playing, I have been dabbling.
Go on.
So this has been a thing you've been able to do for a while. I've been fooling around with them for a while, but I recently decided to kind of ramp up effort on it a little bit as part of my entertainment budget for the day kind of time sink. And you can run Ollama models. Now there are several of them that are called the Dolphin Llama models, and they are based off of the llama models which are published by Meta or however the fuck they pronounce it these days. Now, you think like, well, anyway. Why would you buy a product from the devil? It's like, well, one, it's free, but two, the Dolphin Llama models are someone goes in and looks at all of the training data that's used and basically removes a lot of the bias filters, the alignment stuff. So these are what we would effectively call an uncensored model, the Dolphin Llama models, and you can fine tune these models to your particular tasks. But they're just fun, of course, and as long as you know what you're I'd say this of anybody who's just using ChatGPT in the same way. If you know what you're using, if you know if you can recognize the shape of the hammer for what it is, if you can get past the whole Rouge test and know that you're talking to an LLM, you can use these things very powerfully on your own devices. And the point of using an LLM device and then anything LLM as a front end for it.
Real quick, I have to make a comment before I forget it, and that is to fan of the show, Gavin Newsom, avoid edit out the M dashes. That's all I'm going to say. Take the M dashes out, okay, brother? Anyway, please continue, Greg.
Yeah, really. But the point is, like, once you get past the whole novelty aspect of things, the fact that these are open source and private to your device. So you skip the whole privacy concern and security concern of using ChatGPT, XAI, Grok, etc. Anything open, any of those really shitty CCP LLMs that have been invading everywhere.
Oh, sure.
You can run these things locally, and you can feed them your own documents and have them do RAG, which is kind of like giving them a document in a context, but they can become an expert on. Say you got a bunch of documentation on how to run a device in a lab, in an industrial complex, whatever. Say you got all the manuals for a particular set of machines. You can upload these into your context to run RAG instead of just single thread kind of context, and it will become an expert on that device, on those machines, and you can converse with the LLM to help diagnose problems and suggest solutions. And because the specific expertise required is contained within the documents you provided, you do not have to just rely on the hope that there's going to be some miracle and the LLM is going to spit out the right answer instead of a bunch of gobbledygook garbage. It'll actually refer back to the documentation you have provided in that context.
Oh, so not just 1,000 monkeys on a typewriter. Good.
Exactly. Now you've put 1,000 pages of manuals in instead, and one monkey to stare at it and try to pick a page. But seriously though, you provided a bunch of PDFs that are already like pre-OCR'd or have just text content in them, and it works pretty damn well. And because it's uncensored and doesn't have the alignment biases that are built into the things like Meta's version of it, or OpenAI's versions, or XAI's versions, or Google, etc. Because it didn't have those pre-filters built in, which fuck up everything, you just get the answer you need. Frequently, I'll say that it's not. These are not perfect instruments. These are hammers which still can strike your thumb. You don't have a blindfold on while using the hammer, but sometimes the LLM looks up and your thumb's in the way. So there's that caveat. But as far as like useful devices, it doesn't replace people who would be like a committee of experts, but it can get you steps. It can leapfrog certain diagnostic steps that might otherwise be in the way. The whole questions of like whether or not you plugged your printer in before you can fix it. This helps you get to the point where you say, here are my symptoms, and it says, have you plugged your printer in, and here's the specific answer to the problem if you already have. And that is a big leap forward in productivity on certain tasks. Some complex scenarios that can be helpful for that. Now, they're not going to be perfect. Now, there's a whole wide variety of these kind of things out there. Interestingly, I found several that are useful for writing academic papers. And frankly, if I was going to try and do like a Sokal cubed, and try to pursue that road, I could probably pretty damn easily crank out 10, 15 papers in a day now, if I really felt like it. I could like feed it in like Mein Kampf and say, use this as justification for this kind of content in these scientific journals.
I mean, to be fair, we kind of saw that literally work with the. Jesus,
was it 27
papers? I swear, I think it was 27.
It was James Lindsay.
Oh no, it was, but it was like a lot of papers, not just one or two or three.
Right. But that took a lot of effort to write those papers. As funny as it would be to be part of the process of writing them.
Train a fucking LLM on each one of those fucking. Oh my goodness. That
right?
would be the most
So
funny shit ever.
So now you're starting to get the scope of what you can do with this kind of stuff.
That would be even funnier than reporting Destiny.
Now, you could not do that if you wanted. You could not do that if you wanted to. You couldn't possibly do that if you wanted to on something like Gemini or Grok or on ChatGPT. It would not be fucking allowed. But you can do it at home. And it doesn't actually. Now it takes a little bit of effort. But I don't have a compatible GPU, so it does run full CPU on my system, and it's still able to do pretty well on like an 8 billion parameter model. So that's on the order of like a 5 gigabyte commitment on your hard drive for just the model itself. But again, it'll ramps up my CPU. Now I have like a 36 thread CPU, I have 18 core CPU, so it probably mileage will vary.
Oh sure.
My desktop is more like a workstation. Mileage will vary, but I don't have a compatible GPU like graphics card. If you have a compatible graphics card, you have like an NVIDIA that's like a whatever. You can read the specs on the Olama site, and they'll tell you. If you got a compatible graphics card, you're going to be able to crank out content faster than I can. Just because of the scaling that's involved. So, like, it's really pretty fucking accessible to run a local LLM. There's apps for the phone that can run an LLM reasonably well.
Just as a quick aside to the point you're making there, because it's the perfect aside to make, and I should mention it, because it's kind of noteworthy, and I haven't seen a lot of mainstream reporting, is there have been some specific taxes and tariffs, or not taxes and tariffs, sorry, specific, restrictions on NVIDIA chips that were sent to China, and trackers as well. And right about the same time that occurred, China has basically said, we're going to be stepping away from NVIDIA. Not much more to it, just that's kind of the
important
there.
Important context here.
Yeah.
Just recently, Gamers Nexus they've just released a big documentary on the smuggling of NVIDIA.
Released. Cough.
That was what I was getting to.
Mm-hmm.
You're right ahead of me, and you're right in the place where you need to be. You're right in the place, right where you need to be on that.
Yeah,
that's exactly where we're headed.
Finish the fucking story, man.
Exactly where we're headed. So they released a docu on the smuggling of NVIDIA materials into China for sale in China, which is illegal, and just wasn't allowed. And then it was NBC decided that a 10-second clip was so consequential that they took down the video. Fucking 10 seconds. 10 seconds of the president talking, the president speaking. And they decided that that they were the ones who owned that content, and nobody else is allowed to show the president of the United States fucking talking. If anything, should be covered by fair use. Anything at all. The president speaking in public should count. And again, 10 seconds, so we're way below de minimis, which is about on the order of 30 seconds. There's no market substitute. This is completely not involved. Like it satisfies all fucking 4 factors of fair use. All 4 of them.
So why did they take it down?
Because they could.
They have that power. And it's
because that is what they were able to do.
It's an thing for people to learn about a corporation that's a corporation.
My guess is that you can still find the documentary up on like Rumble.
Yes, it has been re-uploaded to Rumble. I believe you can also find it on our wonderful home Odyssey.
Oh yes,
and apparently also thank you Bats on Bilibili, the Chinese YouTube. Unsurprising. It's not a Chinese company, so of course you can find it there.
Oh good, yeah, Bats just came in at the perfect time. Remember he was talking to me about this.
Yeah, and speaking of friends of China, there's probably also something that's kind of a big deal that we should maybe talk about just for a quick moment. And that is, I would like to talk about Justine, but Justine is no longer the leader of that country. Now we have WEF stooge Mark Carney that is running Canada.
Oh, yes, and,
Mark Carney folded like a fucking wet-ass napkin. So they are set to announce the removal of many retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods as a goodwill measure to restart, stalled trade talks. Of course, this was announced as of Friday. I imagine we'll hear a little bit more on Monday, if you can believe that.
I'm sure that was before things can continue. You will remove these tariffs, and you will do so publicly.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there was some shit like that.
Oh, speaking of people being polite. Speaking of people being polite to the president, I believe some people met recently discussing a certain war in a certain region. And I believe someone wore a fucking suit.
That's true.
Yes, they did.
As a matter of fact, that was something that I specifically commented on, being an omen of good intent.
Uh-huh.
And well, he didn't wear a tie. Okay, fine,
It's
fair.
true.
Not gonna bring it up. That's okay. I get it. He's got his image, He's a dick piano playing man. He's got an image to keep up. I get it. Fine. So
he's a dick potato. What?
Oh, you haven't seen the? Oh yeah, no. He's a very very accomplished piano player. He can play with one digit. As a matter of fact, you should look. Yeah. Or not. But there's a video.
He's a windmill. He's a windmill master, is he?
He is. You could definitely say that he's tilting after windmills. Is all I'm saying. But yeah.
A master peepinist? What?
But anyway, yeah. He came. He was polite. He was pleasant. He was treated with respect. Because, surprisingly enough, you treat others with respect, you get it back. Now, are his European handlers going to allow that to happen? Well, actually, we'll find out on Monday, because they're all scheduled to come and meet with Donald, too.
True. There was a meeting. There's a meeting of people. Now, what I liked about this boss move was, now that I have you all here, what time is it in Russia? Let's just call up Putin now.
Hey, Vlad. Well, I got everybody here. What's the score? Yeah, and that literally happened.
My guess is, and this is the truth, is obviously they're never going to say it. Nobody's going to say it one way or the other. Is because Europe's coming to the table and everybody's like, oh yeah, we're having productive peace talks, and this has not been the case for the last year. I have a sneaking suspicion that they finally got the numbers of losses from Ukraine.
Well,
and
it's
how
funny
much
you mentioned that, actually, because there was a hack
you have
recently on that specifically.
You have your numbers, you have your reserves, you have how far can you push this thing, and my guess is that somewhere in the next few months, next 3 maybe 6 months, for however long it is, but a short period of time, Ukraine's going to run out of people. They're going to run out of bodies.
Yeah.
And when they run out of bodies, if they want to continue the war, the only way forward is for the U.S. to step in and the Europeans to step in. And realistically, as much as I'm not a fan of the war, I'm more not a fan of the U.S. funding the war. But the truth of the matter is, it has been a very good strategic, prospectus against Russia, because we've basically burned Russian bodies, we have burned Russian military assets, we've burned into the Russian economy. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter how many bullets, guns, weapons, missiles, everything else that the European Union and the United States provides, how many billions of dollars we spend. The truth of the matter is, there's only so many Ukrainians. And that is a finite resource, and it will be exhausted.
And on that specific note, I'll find a link that isn't from Ukraine, because obviously they don't like that their data was hacked and leaked. But that data says 1,721,000 Ukrainians killed in action or severely wounded. That's horrifying. And just to clarify, the current data, as we know it, is about 1 million similar from Russia. So this isn't even a war of attrition. Russia vastly outnumbers, outguns, and outclasses Ukraine. And the numbers support that. And that's with Ukraine having the full and entire backing of every single NATO nation.
Well, I think outclasses is probably because of the backing we have. Obviously, Ukraine alone, Ukraine would lose. But they only, don't give me Ukraine has done. I think that wars, some of these proxy wars, are used by Department of Defense and various other people to essentially war game out what the modern battlefield looks like. So, for instance, I know that they said that Ukraine didn't inform the Trump administration of its launch of drones at the Russian stuff. But I have no doubt in my mind that, like, there's a value in not sitting there and telling somebody what to do and giving them a bunch of tools that you have and seeing what they come up with.
Now,
right?
Counterpoint to that. Counterpoint to what you're saying there is they also, according to official statements, didn't tell us a goddamn thing about the Nord Stream pipeline bombing, wherein Ukraine, a nation with whom we hold no treaties, attacked a NATO ally with whom we hold specific treaties requiring specific actions for attacks against them, and we did nothing. We did nothing
but
for
again,
one of the greatest global climate fucking catastrophes. All of that natural gas pumped out into the ocean and into the atmosphere because we care so goddamn much about the fucking atmosphere.
It wasn't that much that got pumped out.
Motherfucker, really if we care about the Exxon Valdez, we care about this.
But the hypocrisy is the point, not the amount.
Like,
I get that. But like,
I didn't
again,
hear one
I think
word about the fucking environment when that shit happened.
All
I heard was,
I don't think you would. Like, why would I? Why? I'm not gonna. Like, this is one of those things where if I, like, put yourself in the role of the government, right? You can turn around. I do not believe that the climate change thing is there you go. I don't think climate change has ever been a serious thing for the government. It is the perfect problem because it's basically an intractable issue. You don't know enough about it. You can throw a very small amount of money. When we start talking, I mean, realistically, it's a large amount of money. But the entire climate change movement gets about $26 billion in research and $26 billion in renewable energy subsidies.
I wonder how
it's
much that
$50 billion a year, right? $50 billion a year is a lot of money, but it's not that much money. Like, in regards to the entire U.S. budget, it's not very much. It doesn't cost us very much to act like we're solving a problem that isn't a real problem, or it's an undefined problem. It's the perfect political problem. It's the perfect political problem, and that is why it is promoted. That is why it is advanced. I do think that people like Obama believed in it, but I don't think people like Biden and his administration did as much. Right? There's probably a couple diehards in there, but the reality is it's nobody has. When we sit there and we talk about climate change, regardless of the, hey, you should probably spend money on nuclear instead, or do this rather than that, like those kinds of discussions that Steve, we've had many times.
I don't want solutions, though. I want to watch the world burn.
I think that that's the point, right? Like, they don't actually, the solutions that they choose, they don't properly fund at the level that they need to solve the problem, right? They give a meaningless gesture that costs
didn't you hear
nothing.
about Saturn's rings? Real talk, actually. No, they're disappearing. Obviously, because of man-made climate change here on Earth. Duh.
I was going to say, hold on a second. I thought we had the Kyoto Protocol.
It wasn't enough to save Saturn's rings. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
You know what?
We're fucking up so bad.
God. This is a net positive. That means that our plan to use the rings to plug the holes in our ozone is 100% working.
Genius. I like it.
But yeah, it's if you look at the total budget and all the other stuff, I just don't care. Like,
funny.
It's fucking
I know. It was funny.
I think that if you look at the whole budget, we spend about, for something that's supposed to be a global crisis, we only spend about 0.7% or 0.8% of our budget on it. Like, I don't think that they take it seriously. I don't think anybody wants to take action.
Well, as we all know, rich people are super big on buying inland properties far away from beaches and oceans.
Right.
Oh,
those are the, like, external characteristics, but realistically, this is a great way to transfer money to, if I subsidize your solar panels, that's really all it is. Like, it's the perfect thing for that. So when you start talking about, like, the natural gas explosion, right? there's always a priority list of things to care about. And even if they did care about climate change, I hate to say it, but
A
like
stack, you might say, of things.
how potent Russia is, or deleting part of Russia's military forces is far more important. And so, yeah, bad things will happen, and we'll probably put it aside. A great example is the Epstein files, right? Like the pragmatist perspective is Trump is probably in them, and I'm okay with that if I get 2 or 3 actual pedophiles, and we can friggin' throw the book at them, because 2 pedophiles in jail is better than 1 pedophile not being in jail.
Oh, but haven't you heard the latest out of Ghislaine Maxwell?
I did.
I have not. Hold on. I heard there was going to be names. Were there names?
Not really. Not as there. She didn't give anything.
Back to jail with her.
Well, actually, what she said. Well, as a matter of fact, I'd like to read off part of her statement, at least in short here. That's going to be Ghislaine Maxwell. She said that Jeffrey Epstein preferred younger women, quote, because they, quote, gave him ideas and were, quote, up to date. That's all it is. That's all it is, folks. He was just getting in there so that he could, be.
He just needed to know what the latest craze and underage woman was.
Yeah, absolutely. He was just getting his egg-shaped penis in there so that he could, feel it out.
Like, I'm not saying it's morally righteous in any way, shape, or form, but from an investment perspective, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, I remember my wife's
if all
uncle,
the people that run all the corporations still get to keep their jobs, the corporations do still run.
12 years ago, my uncle turned around and said, well, you're young, or I guess maybe it was 20 years ago. It was a while ago. He said, you're young. If I had $10,000, where would you put it? And I said, I'd put it in Bitcoin, right? And he turned around to me the other day and he's like, holy shit, man, I should have fucking listened to you, right? Like,
right.
it is not unreasonable to sit there and say, hey, I'm going to, like, there's a sex component to that as well. It's not unreasonable to say, hey, I'm going to take these women and find out what they're interested in, because what they're interested in today is what's going to make me money tomorrow.
No,
that's not an unreasonable perspective.
No, in and of itself, it's not. It's like, talking to younger people
gets
you an idea.
Why are you talking to a 12-year-old girl about butt plugs? I think that's kind of a big question we need to ask her.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Craig.
Is that something that happened?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Steve, because we should probably talk about Stephen Bennell. Because, and I quote, I still have the videos.
This is where I was going, which is unfortunate.
Oh, Destiny. Oh, Destiny. Why do you still have the videos, and what are they videos of?
Yeah,
they aren't.
I needed them for my own legal defense. Is not a good legal defense, buddy.
No.
I cannot. So anyway, so the context here.
Yeah, fill us in
Willie
on this
Mac
one,
show,
just like Destiny filled in the anyway.
God damn it. Willie Mac Show decided to do some due diligence, and he decided to talk to the subject of his video. Little did he know that as he was doing so, Destiny would say, yes, I still do have the videos of this woman who I now currently know was underage. Would you, and effectively, would you like to see them? It's like, why do you have those?
Like, damn, Hassan, really?
And his excuse was he needs to be able to defend himself legally. It's like, buddy, I believe he just undid that.
If I'm not mistaken, and now I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a policeman, I'm not a glowy, but from my understanding of the law, that would be a bad thing. Kind of like if you were to have, say, the entirety of the Hunter Biden laptop in whole and complete with all the images.
Right.
You would be in danger of many and various federal crimes.
Exactly. So, here's the thing with CP. It's never a bad idea when it comes to legal defense to fucking delete it immediately if you know it exists, or if you're not going to just delete it immediately, to turn the device in which it resides into the authorities immediately, so that they may take the forensic evidence available and then delete it for you and return the device to you, so that you are no longer the one who is legally liable for its contents.
Or let's go absolute worst case scenario. Absolute worst. Bottom of the barrel. Just don't tell people your fucking creepy kink?
Yeah,
Bro.
so he's
Bro.
the thing is, he said,
Fucking bro.
He said basically, I have knowledge that this is underage content, and I'm keeping it, and I'm okay with that. To a person who is then forced, basically by law, to tell the authorities, this exists, these are the conversations I had, here's all my DMs. I cannot wash my hands of this, but this is as clean as they're going to get. You know,
that said, Willie Mac Show
that poor
made
guy,
a video about this.
He had no fucking idea that
It's
was
like,
going to land in his lap.
Why are you doing this to me, Steve? What the fuck? Bro, what the fuck? Why are you putting me in this situation? And
after the whole revenge porn thing became a thing, now he is a fucking child pornographer, I guess.
Destiny. What the fuck, bro? Like, it's one thing to say a bunch of disingenuous fucking faggot shit in a fucking argument. Okay, fine, whatever.
It's one thing to suck off Nick Fuentes.
That too. It's one thing to be into Latin dudes. Okay, fine, I get it. You know, you like the spicy pendejo, whatever. Okay, but you know, it's another thing to.
It's just so fucked up. This guy,
Mr. Bonnell. Mr. Bonnell, would you please?
Has there been a whole month this year? Has there been a whole month this year in which he has not made things worse? Has there been a whole week? Again, there has at least been one this year, a whole week. A contiguous 7 days where he has not fucked up worse.
At this point, I would say, and this is funny, I was tempted to tweet this one out, actually.
Oh, boy.
No, I'm not. Well, we'll get to that because I do have a really good idea for a program, a government program. We'll get to that one. But for right now, I would say that many people think that Destiny's Child is a really excellent influence.
So his child. So here's the thing: is he has so much anger, and all of it is valid.
Yeah.
With his father.
Yeah.
Steve has done nothing but vicariously torture his son. Like, I could not imagine being in the position his son is in, having to, on the daily, defend himself.
Bro, is that your dad sucking Nick Fuentes'?
Right. Like, imagine having that every fucking day. Like, if somebody's losing an argument with you, what are they going to do?
Imagine how fucking bad it is when somebody's like, I saw your mom on OnlyFans. Brother, I saw your dad doing
Yeah, I saw your dad choking on purpose.
Oh.
It's so bad.
And he's not even a good flute player.
Again, like, it's...
Sorry.
God damn it.
Sorry.
I'm just thinking, like, you got to understand that the years of there is no amount of therapy that is going to undo the ruination his dad has inflicted upon his life. And Destiny, Steve Bonnell, the however many of them, can't believe there's more than fucking one of these guys. Like, he has cursed his whole bloodline.
Oh yeah.
To the limited extent that it exists, and not even at his specific juncture. All the several forks above where he exists have to deal with the fact that his presence has been permitted somehow to persist on the internet.
No, ironically, this shit is basically biblical. It's going to be 5 generations until he's clean.
Right? It's fucking wild. Like his great grandchildren, should they, God willing, exist given the state of his son. Like, there's going to be a redemption arc in that family history that's going to cause some serious problems when historians look back on the next modern era. Sorry, next modern era.
Yeah. Stephen
if you wanted a
and
fifth,
his son,
if you wanted a fifth Reich,
Bonnell,
if you wanted a fifth Reich, this is how to spawn it.
Oh, I tell you, we live in interesting times, sir.
Flute player.
And not even a good one. And not even a good one. Oh, man.
So you're rating his performance. I'm sure you have a basis for this.
Well,
was the suck to blow ratio not where you thought it should be?
Well,
did the fingers not cover the right holes?
Well, considering my point of view has been the same as the cameraman.
Was there not enough cupping?
In my case, there was much less beard, so it was tremendously superior in just that alone. There was also.
But was there as many penises involved though?
There were also one fewer penises involved in the experience as well, which also made it a greater experience. So, yeah, I would say objectively, my experience was superior.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that your experience versus others. I'm just you're rating his. How do you know? Maybe it was a more skilled flute player.
As much as I hate to admit this, you make a valid point, and I lack a point of reference for that. So
I think this sounds like
right.
a good opportunity for you to reach out and
it's just a learning experience.
Offer to be a professional tester of skills.
Are you saying he should be a pen tester for Steve Bunnell?
Sure.
Look.
I mean, he's the one who's asserting something. We are a science show. We expect evidence, sir. Go get some.
I think that
no.
He makes a valid point, though. He makes a valid point. So I think the thing to do in this case, as I've said since the beginning, I am a layman. So what we need is an expert. We need someone who truly knows faggotry. I will reach out to Milo and see if we can, get somebody that knows a thing or two about this topic to
really
weigh in on it.
Warn him he is not allowed to swallow a mic while on call with us, because I have a feeling it'll be difficult to filter that noise out from everybody's soul afterwards.
Fair. And I can't guarantee I'll get a response. He followed me for like 2 days once, but then he got.
Oh man, you're Mr. Popular over here.
Well,
it's that scene in Gladiator. I said he touched me on the shoulder once. I wasn't infected, damn it.
Well, wow. What times in which we find ourselves? Oh, just as a by the by, in relation to what we were talking about earlier on the Indian truckers, there's a white as a fucking ghost white guy, trucker, as a matter of fact, goes by @Lombard Trucking. Mm-hmm. He, a friend of his, I should say, put up a TikTok video. If you're curious who that is, it's @WolfgangKW on TikTok, if you're a TikToker. But he's posted the video, and I'll include that below, where he looked up one of these jobs that are posted. Now, these aren't the perm jobs; these are the CDL jobs, but they're posted in like Facebook groups, private groups, and LinkedIn groups, that kind of place. And he went in, and instead of being like, my name's Joe Bob Smith, he was like, oh yeah, my name's Ramjesh Hamshimajar, and they were like, oh hey Ramjesh, let's hook you up with a job, to put it in short, but it's worth a view because it just illustrates exactly the kind of points that have been made so many times over and over again.
Mr. Gravinder.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Oh, a pleasure to meet you, Akshit.
Oh my god.
And that's a whole thing, by the way. If you want a good time, don't waste your time going to Google, because they'll just fucking send you some dumb bullshit. Go to search.brave.com or go to Bing or fucking DuckDuckGo or something and search Akshit meme. There is a wealth. And the wealth of memes
hold on now.
has a source.
I must try the Google side.
You know what? Yeah, actually, let's do this shit live. Hold on. We're doing it live.
Akshit meme. No, you see, these results are for backshot meme.
Akshit meme. AKSA Akshit meme.
Oh, that was my
AK shit.
I didn't spell "ox" shit correctly. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Oh. Mango. Funny. Okay.
Who is good at memes? Ox shit or Costa?
All right.
Neither. Asshole memes. Benai. Oh, okay.
There we go. There it is.
Yeah, the memes on Google are really not that great, are they?
No, and I'll be fair.
This is pretty shit.
Now, to be fair, the Brave search results are very interesting. They actually went fully international. Beyond that, the second result is the Arjun Kapoor meme will die when. So, yeah. No, the second link is directly pertinent. So, funny enough. But yeah, the whole Akshit thing was some guy named Akshit was commenting on some American's post, and there you go.
And someone noticed.
Yeah, it was like, oh, hey, Akshit. And then...
when someone compliments my art meme, Akshit art meme.
Good times. Good times. So,
this one,
I just want to real quick comment on something that is absolutely fucking delicious and ties back into something we commented on, last year. When everybody on the left was like, oh, man, that guy, that Halliburton guy, Dick, Mr. Cheney, what a good man he is. What a wonderful and kind and heartwarming, personable human being. Not that is a devil, and not that dines on human flesh every night and bathes in human blood. Not that at all. A good man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we commented on that for a while. Anyway, they've moved on, and they've moved on to a mustachioed man, whom we have also commented on this show, a bloodthirsty ghoul, much similar in the likes of Mr. Tricky Dick Cheney, not a company owner, perhaps, but an owner of morals, or something. Anyway, they have latched onto John Bolton after this fucking arrest. No, sorry. Excuse me. Scratch that. Sorry. After this investigation has begun and these raids on his properties to gather information have happened. There are no arrests, cough, yet. But
there will never be arrests.
Probably. But at the very fucking least, we're seeing some things. Which we didn't even see that much. We didn't even see,
It's of all of the stuff that we've seen so far, you know what the most disheartening to me was? When Tulsi released the Adam Schiff meeting on leaking intel. And as soon as something goes into the public domain, you know that target's not going to be attacked for that thing.
No shit, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking irritating.
The second they release this really bad, damning shit, you know that there's no trial on that point.
Well,
immediately, and so if the Trump every single time the Trump administration, we haven't seen anything on Bolton, so they think they can get Bolton, and they're gonna bag and tag him. But the people that I want to see get got are the ones who actually have I want to see senators and congressmen go to jail for breaking the fucking law. That's all I want. It's not a particularly complicated thing. I don't want them to invent crimes, but they have documentation. There's documents, there's source documents showing that this stuff was done. I want to see somebody prosecuted for sedition. And until such time as they take somebody from Congress or the Senate or a political leadership for some period of time and process them for sedition, I don't care. I just don't care. I don't care that they're going after Bolton because Bolton held the rank of being an ambassador and kind of just went back and forth and to blow up kids. I want to see Schiff go to jail. I want to see Clinton go to jail. Podesta is secondary ring to that. I want to see the people who are principal leaders of the bullshit go to jail. I think Schumer's probably going to be clean, so I'm not worried about him. I think Pelosi is going to be
the point
clean.
you're making, they arrested Trump. There is an
They
arrest
arrested
warrant for
fucking
him,
Trump.
and there is a fucking booking photo for Trump. I want at least
And
that.
oh yeah,
and you're right. You're
and
absolutely right.
by the way, now we have, it's another day, another trial is released on him, right? Like they got the prosecution for the fraud case, they got the claim he was
the
fraud,
$500
and then they dropped. And oh yeah, by the way, this is a civil charge, and they dropped the entire penalty. Like it's a civil charge with zero penalty. His criminal case, his felon case, it was an actual criminal conviction, and they dropped all the charges. Why? Because the courts know that everything that they did was unconstitutional, and that's very, very clear. And yeah, okay, so the appeals court didn't want to and I'll give him this, right? He probably had some shady business practices. That's what definitely looks like that. Do I think it rises to the amount of fraud? Do I think it rises to the amount of damages? Do I think the case she had the authority to bring the case? No. Does that mean that the New York State can't say, hey, I think this is kind of not on the up and up. Let's go sit there and dig a little bit further into their businesses. That's fine. But that's the case that she chose. She went to go after him, and that's been dropped. So they've done all this stuff. They've created a whole bunch of hullabaloo. He walks away with everything because, hey, basically they had to break the Constitution in order to do it. And everybody fucking knows that. And all of this stuff will get overturned in appeal. And everybody fucking knows that's going to happen too. So until they actually turn around and go after the people who they're dumping all this evidence, until they go after the people who fucking did shit, did actual shit with actual crimes, like Schiff, leaking intelligence information, classified intelligence information to undermine Trump, until they go after him for leaking intelligence, and until they go after him for, specifically attempting to undermine the president-elect, I don't give a fuck. I don't want to see them go, sure, okay, whatever, go after Schiff in this other way. I want to see him go to jail for the shit that he did. This whole entire idea that, the reason that Trump won in 2016 and the reason that he won in 2024 is because people are sick and tired of the fucking government. They're tired of them lying to us. They're tired of them sitting there and treating us like we're fucking children. We're tired of that. The only people that, if you look at polls on party popularity, the Democrats are 20, 30%, something like that. You know why they're at 20, 30%? Because the Democrats are fucking scumbags, and everybody knows it. And I don't think the Republicans are much higher. And the news media might even be lower. But the bottom line is, until they actually sit there and show some level of contrition for their actions, no one is going to the process of healing can't begin until contrition is had. And contrition has to be had in this case because it's gone on for so long and it's been so in-depth, and they violated all of the constitutional norms, and they violated all of our legal process, and they violated hundreds of years,
social contract
hundreds of years. Not just America, but they violated basically legal principles extending back to
back
England.
to English common law. No. I'm just talking about specifically the social contract of what it is to be an American. They have spit in the face of that.
They have done that. I can forget. Don't get me wrong. The budget's. There's a lot of problems that we have in this country. The budget's fucked up. We are way more involved than what we should have. The Pentagon needs to be audited. The Social Security Administration needs to be audited. The Federal Reserve needs to be audited. We have legitimate financial problems because people have been irresponsible. I can forgive that as politicians sitting there and attempting to get votes, and it's a flaw in the democratic system. 100% I can get behind that. But until we turn around and we get actual contrition for the illegal actions that were done that are violations of the core threat of the entire American populace, I don't care. And so, yeah, they're going to go after John Bolton. Congratulations. They're going to throw a warmonger in prison. That's great. Where's Fauci? Right? Congratulations. They're going to sit there and take some low-level fucking staffer that was part of the administration that talked shit and wasn't in any way, shape, or form really in any actual position of power, and they're gonna make an example out of him. Yeah, no, go after the people who caused the problems. Go after the people who broke the fucking law. Go after the people who broke the fucking social contract.
Well, don't
And
just go
every
after
single
them.
time,
Actually prosecute these people.
and actually, yeah, like, well, that's what I mean by go after.
Okay.
Go after to the maximum extent that you can with the maximum charges that you can. But when I sat there, when I see shit like, hey, look at this, we're going after Bolton, that's nothing more than just like throwing a little fucking scrap to the dogs. That's all that is. It's oh, look, we're serious this time. No, I want to see Schiff in jail. I want to see him arrested. I want to see him arrested with no bail. I want to see him arrested. I want them to pick a state, a red state. Red is the red of the reddest of the red states, and I want them to run the case against Schiff there, saying that he fundamentally undermined the legal process of not all of America, but we have to pick a jurisdiction, and the most Trump favoring jurisdiction that exists is the one that you try him in, because they're the ones who were undermined the most. And that's their legal argument to bring a national case there. And that's what I want to see. I want to see them pull that shit. But you know what? Until they do, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about Bolton. I don't give a shit about, like, any of these low-level staffers. I don't give a shit that they're revoking these security clearances from people who are out of the government. I don't really give a shit that they're sitting there and writing shamey letters. I don't care. I want arrests. I want arrests for serious crimes. I want the people who did them to go to jail. And I don't want them to be airdropping evidence of their crimes to me, because as soon as they do that, it signals that they're not going after him. As soon as they sat there and released that document on Schiff, I knew they weren't going after Schiff. And that's a fucking travesty.
I mean, yeah, there's a valid point there. You know, they put to put it in layman's terms, because this is kind of a thing, is when they put these things out, it's because whether they do or don't have anything, they don't have the feeling that they could do anything with this. So they need to give it to the public to handle.
They're going to try it in the court of public opinion. And by trying it in the court of public opinion, well, regardless of whether they do or don't have evidence, right? Regardless of whether they do or don't have evidence, by trying something in the court of public opinion, that means that, let's say they came up with a case and they arrested Schiff and they sent him in for sedition because of any one of the many fucking crimes that he did. It means that when he goes to trial, he's going to put that document front and center and say, the country is prejudiced against me. And therefore, because you cannot sit there and hold up my constitutional right to a fair trial, you need to dismiss the case. And they're going to get the fucking dismissal. That's what's going to happen because of what Tulsi Gabbard did. And that is how you know they're not going after Schiff, because there's nothing they can bring against him on that level as soon as that document goes out there. And it's not because what they could have gotten or what they couldn't have gotten, it's because they have now prejudiced the public.
Yeah, I don't really disagree. All I can say is that I can't say a single thing, because anything I would say would be against the terms of service of any site that we post this on. And that it is unfortunate that there was nothing done, but it would be really funny if something happened, you know, to things where nothing happens. To be as vague as possible.
I'm going to disagree with you, Evan. I'm going to disagree with you on that. You know, the problem that you have is, so this is the problem. When we talk about Epstein, we rant about Epstein, we rant about Schiff, we rant about politics, we rant about all these different things. The truth of the matter is that the trust in the American system has been broken.
Mm-hmm. It has.
Adam Schiff getting offed by some crazy motherfucker is not a solution to repair the damage of the American system. And the core of America,
that's not what
is
I'm
that
saying,
the people are in control. The core of America are the people are in control. The people are in control of their government. The people have rights. The people have a say. And this is the problem. They broke that compact. They broke the fact that people do not believe that they have control over their government. They do not believe that their government is operating in their best interest. They do not believe that the government is being honest and upfront. They do not believe that information that is classified necessarily needs to be. They believe that all of these systems that built a wonderful institution that is America are actively being used to fundamentally undermine everything that America stands for.
True.
And until such time as we prosecute the individuals who are in power, we will not be able to undo that damage.
Well,
right? The problem with the Epstein case is not the fact that people diddled kids. I don't give a shit that there was a fucking billionaire kitty diddler. There's probably dozens of them. I don't fucking care. They probably go to Thailand and buy them by the fucking busload. They take a school bus, it leaves the Thailand schools, it shows up at some rich billionaire's place, and he lines them up, throws them on a board, and has his way with all those fucking kids. I am sure that shit happens. It sucks. There are malicious, malevolent motherfuckers in the world, and as soon as we find a wood chipper and prosecute them, that would be the best case. However, in the case of Epstein, the problem isn't that Epstein diddled kids. It isn't that he might have had rich friends which used him to diddle kids. The issue is that the government has apparently lied and covered it up. And the reason that we believe that the government has lied and covered up is because we know that they've lied and covered up other things in the same way, right? The Lois Lerner email scandal. Oh my God, my hard drives crashed. Oh no. The Hillary Clinton email scandal. Oh my God, my private server got wiped. You don't have to worry about it. It was just yoga messages. And now all of a sudden you come out and you say, hey.
Those silly Japanese, we have no idea. They would never attack. Never attack, especially not Pearl Harbor.
Shit like that. I mean, but like
Building 7. What? No. Anyway,
I think you're going too far back. The problem that you had was
there's just a history of this sort of thing.
The Obama administration used the exact same lines that came up in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Oh, looks like the files got deleted. Shucks, we just don't have it anymore. Oh, the person who was responsible for that was asleep on the job. Shamey, shamey, shamey. That's why everybody said Epstein didn't kill himself. It wasn't because they actually I didn't know who the fuck Epstein was. I didn't give a shit about Epstein. Right? I still don't give a shit about Epstein. But I absolutely care when they turn around and start telling me that all of the information that I need to make any sort of judgment on anything disappeared. That's a big fucking deal. Right? Another government service, all of a sudden all the information disappears when it's convenient. That's why the conspiracy theory started. You want to sit there and talk about all the rest of this? It could very well be that Epstein is the only kid fucker that went to the island. That's entirely possible. I don't think it's true, but it's entirely possible. He's the only one. He's solely the one who was involved. Ghislaine only sat there and trafficked kids to him, but it doesn't fucking matter because every single time this case has been completely and totally buried. Every time. It was buried under Trump the first term. It was buried in the Biden administration, and it's been buried in Trump the second term. Right? So the problem isn't what happened or didn't happen with Epstein. Nobody cares about that. They just want the government to do one thing, and that is present the honest-to-God truth. Because if they present the honest-to-God truth in the Epstein case, whether or not there were billionaires diddling kids, whether or not he fucking killed himself, it doesn't fucking matter. If they present if they can turn around and just provide actual transparency on that case, it would go a long way to restoring the damage that was done by the Obamas and by Biden and by Trump's first term. Right? It would go a long way to restore a lot of the damage that has been done to the country, the image of the country, the value, the trust the people have in the first term. And so if we got what we really want, what would be ideal is that we actually offered up one person in power, just one, from the Epstein files. Maybe they're out of power, like, say, Bill Clinton, and we actually prosecuted him.
Well, it's
like,
funny
that
you
would be
mentioned
fucking
Bill
wild.
Clinton because, well, that's the one name we're actually seeing some movement on. And everything else you said also ties into that, because Ghislaine has him sung like a bird. I don't know how well rehearsed her song is, but anyway, she has said lots of things. That being, of course, Donald Trump. No, never did anything here. But Bill Clinton, boy golly, did he like to visit the island.
Sure. But again, I don't care. I don't care about Epstein. I want people in power to go to jail for the crimes that they committed. The crimes that we observe them committing, the crimes that we know they committed. Like, realistically, let's not keep our eye off the ball. Somebody needs to go to jail for the fact that we spent $30 million investigating the president when there was no evidence of a crime.
Well, not only no evidence, we actually have proof that the Russia collusion thing was an entire load of bullshit. So
was a load of bullshit.
Prosecute everyone involved in that.
Somebody has done $30 million in financial damage to the United States people for nothing.
Yep.
How are we not prosecuting that? Like, motherfuckers will go loot CVS, and if they go like for $999.97, and they're free to go, right? They're free to go, especially in California. But by God, you get that extra 3 cents in there. That turns to 100. That shit's a felony, and they go after you hard. How the fuck is it that at $1,000 we go after local street thugs, but we are not willing to touch $30 million stolen from the United States under false premises from stuff that we had the FBI actively engaged in warrants that were illegal. The Clinton campaign orchestrated the entire thing. The Obama administration helped. How is it that we have $30 million in financial damage in the United States, and we have no means? Not only are we not actually going to go after any of these people who perpetuated this bullshit, not only are we not going to go after them, they're not going to have to pay us $30 million. Hell, if we turned around and we went to Hillary Clinton and we said, you know what you did was illegal, we're going to sit there and fine you $45 million, $30 million for the United States plus interest, I would be okay with that. Right? Sure. She should go to jail. Oh, yeah. But if we just got our money back, I'd be okay with that.
Oh yeah, well no, that's the point. We get nothing. We don't even get a fucking apology.
We have $30 million in debt.
I don't even want that. That's not enough. I want all of our uranium.
An apology, the money, and them in jail isn't enough. But
no, I want our uranium production capacity back. I want that to go to us. Fuck Russia. They can go ahead and choke on it.
Ignoring those uranium. That's so like I remember looking into the uranium one thing. I remember looking into the uranium one thing. Part of the it's not as big a scandal as some people thought it was. It really isn't. The mine that they gave up, yes, they gave up a mine in the United States. That mine has been dead for a while because predominantly uranium is coming out of Australia, right? The bottom line is the uranium that we need, like uranium enrichment cost, it's going to go for the highest quality ore, and the reality is that's in Australia.
And what happens when it's not in Australia? What happens when it's in the United States again?
I understand, right? Like long term, that's a strategic asset. But short term, in short term for like the next 200 years, it's not going to be, right? We have plenty of that stuff. You don't have
to refine it all the way. All you have to do is get enough uranium oxide out of it to make a dirty bomb.
Yeah, well, you still have to get the enrichment. In order to get to the dirty bomb phase, it's like 18% enrichment. But that's irrelevant, right? Like the
I mean, like for heavy metals too, not even just for radiation.
The bottom line is that when you start talking about the uranium purity is one thing, and then in order to get to nuclear purity, that's a whole separate process. And the actual thing. So, but the point is that's I don't mind that as much as we have $30 million in financial damage. We know that the FBI violated the law with the FISA system. We know that 100%. They violated the law with the FISA system. We know that fucking marketing company that Hillary Clinton hired had not only conflicts of interest. I can't remember, some woman was on some board somewhere, but we know that they not only had conflicts of interest, but they actually sat there and promulgated it. We know that news organizations were involved in sitting there and spreading this false story. We know that $30 million in damages has been done because that's the cost of an investigation into nothing, right? We know all of these things. These are real, serious crimes. All of them are very, very serious crimes. Any one of them are things that people should have gone to jail for. These are not things that are conspiratorial. These are not things that are not evidenced. These are things that are widely evidenced, well known, and they kind of came in after the fact and said, oops, what do you know? We fucked up on the FISA warrant. Until such time as we have, until we turn around and we start prosecuting these people for the fucking shit that they did, I don't fucking care. I don't care about Bolton. And every single time I see something, and Tulsi's been doing it a lot, so I'm picking on her. Tulsi will send out a document, and the document is damning. It is damning. And you know what? That means that individual is off the hook every single fucking time.
I think part of it, though, that we should consider is that perhaps there has been some internal mechanism by which she is prevented from going after these people. And the best she can do is just let her know. It's just publicly embarrass the fuck out of them. Let the world know not to involve these people in anything ever again.
Well, just like I said,
that's part of it.
I understand.
They're giving it to
I understand what you're saying. But again, that goes,
power.
Hold on. That goes back to the point, though, right? That goes back to the point, Evan, or Craig. That
right.
The issue with the Epstein file is the lack of trust. The issue is that the American social contract, that the American people have control of the government because it is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. That fundamental premise will remain broken if there's an individual within the government that we just can't go after. Right? And I agree with you. I think that's what Tulsi's doing, right? It's the best that she can do, right? I'm not saying that you're wrong in that. I think you're 100% correct in that.
I think you're correct.
The problem is that she is fundamentally signaling that, there are individuals that we can't go after in the government.
I think it's better to know that that's a thing. I think it's better to know not only that that's a thing, but also who that applies to, for the American people to make good decisions on how to move forward about it. I think that at least having that knowledge is empowering the American people to know who the enemy is and what the problems are.
I agree, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, it's frustrating as fuck, but
if we elect Trump to be the bull in the china shop, and his administration comes out and says, "Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, but it turns out we can't do anything," America's over, man. The whole entire premise is gone. I
think that it tells us that there are some cleanup work for the people to do. I don't think that America's over. I think that's a fatalistic view of it. I think that is an opportunity for us to go ahead, and return to form, so to speak. We need to do a little bit of housekeeping. The people don't get to just sit back and rely on the government for shit.
Sure.
Because that was specifically the thing that we formed this country to avoid, is relying on just the government for shit. At some point, we got to
let me reframe that, right? It means that, again, the fundamental premise of America, the idea that we as a people can vote for action in our government, is gone. Right? We cannot vote our way out of corrupt individuals in the government. That's the problem. And that is whenever she does something like this, that is the point. We can't even get rid of a lowly senator from California.
Well, hold on.
It's not like they can't replace him with another liberal.
A little bit harsher than what I'm saying. So, I'm just saying.
If we can't, if we turned around and Schiff went to jail, so what? California's going to put another fucking liberal senator in there. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter to the Democrats to lose Schiff. It's not like it's a purple state. He's not coming from a place that fucking matters.
The funny
right?
part
and
is
they
it
still
actually
can't.
is a purple state, but gerrymandering. But that's a whole nother fucking thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got a liberal governor. It's got all the other stuff. If we turn around right now,
that we could segue.
If we turned around and we threw Schiff in prison, then Newsom gets to nominate whoever the fuck he wants. And you know what? They're going to get another progressive senator, and it's not a big deal. So why the fuck can't you give us Schiff's head?
No, I mean, it's a valid
Why
point.
can't it happen? It doesn't change. The balance of power is not going to change. Nothing's going to change. But if we actually could prosecute just him for being doing blatantly illegal things, just him. Like I'm even okay with letting the Clintons go.
We are all still waiting on at least one fucking real arrest. And that's
arrest.
That's really
of
where
a
we are,
real
which is kind of ridiculous.
Washington insider, not a staffer, not somebody like Bolton is great.
But he hadn't even.
But if that's the best you can do,
only just raided his buildings.
Better.
You know, we're still waiting on that. Even with him,
if that's the best we can do, is John Bolton, do fucking better.
Fair.
Do fucking
better.
But
the thing is, they haven't even arrested him yet. I say yet, on the hope that there is something there, because like you said, they're not really talking about it. They're not really dropping the T on it. So, yeah, they're probally actually going hard.
Again,
I hope they fucking do.
Sure,
he's got it coming.
I'm sure they're going to get...
Now,
Bolton is at, like...
Now, let me add something to what you've said. That being that when you're in these situations where everything is deeply entrenched and largely intractable, you have to chip away. So you might get what you can to open up a chink in that armor. Now, is that what's happening? I can't say, realistically. But that is the way you have to approach these giant beasts. You know, you have to open up a hole here and there.
I understand, right? I understand.
But just to what you're saying, there's no holes been opened up yet.
Nothing.
Well, it's still not going to alleviate the deep frustration that's involved.
I guess I look at it as, all right, so like a standard, like a low-level staffer is like the drug dealer on the corner. Congratulations, you got that motherfucker, right? The goal is to get him to flip. And so going after Bolton is like flipping the next in line, right? It's just the guy who's sitting there and buying in bulk and distributing. It's not the logistics chain. I want cartel members. That's who I want to fucking get. And Bolton is not there. He's not a mover and shaker.
We got a few of those recently. We got some of those
27
cartel members.
Good.
So we are actually now. Bear in mind that happened not long after a mention of using military force directly in Mexico. So
you should do that with California.
Well,
just saying.
Enough,
I mean, we mentioned Chicago and New York, right?
Well, speaking of segues, we should probably just do that. First and foremost, in 9 days, as of recording, no homicides in D.C.
Yeah.
And that's fucking big. That's
fucking isn't it?
That is something that has not happened in D.C.
Guess who went to the fucking mall recently? I heard, or a station, rather.
Vance and crew.
Yeah. Just
what?
wild how they're able to show up and it's. Hey, I can bring my kids here finally.
But on that note, and something you had mentioned, Chicago. There has been some scuttlebutt that Chicago's next after D.C. Well, I've seen one video, only one, but one video of a Chicago native showing a shitload of natty boys in Humvees rolling into town, literally Saturday, today. So it could be
that would be National Guard, not Army.
Right.
So exactly. I mean, there's going to be wailing and gnashing of teeth no matter what.
Well,
but,
especially with what? With the fact that they're going to fucking carry guns this time. Because that also came out today. There's been a request from the fucking top, the tippity tip top, to make sure that they're armed. Wherever they go. And if we take into mind the recent shooting on a fucking base, probably not the worst plan.
I'll offer, so I've said many times I was progressive at one time. And when it comes to crime, I couldn't even fathom that there's just people who are criminals, and it's just the way they are. It's inherent to their nature. I couldn't understand that when I was younger. It's a really tough pill to swallow that there's just bad people.
Oh yeah.
You know, I evolved my perspective. My perspective on this evolved. 'Cause there's two real concepts, right? There's malevolence and maliciousness. And the first thing, so like to me in my little progressive head, I was sitting there and saying that there's nobody who's really like malicious, and there's nobody who's really malevolent. It's just people who, you know, are in a rough spot and they don't know how to get out of it, and they're just doing what they
those
have
poor
to do.
misguided
Right.
souls. If only
Right,
someone
those
could
poor
say
I feel
that.
bad for you.
Eh,
I feel
well,
bad for
and
you,
that-
Steve.
that is the perspective that I had.
Oh,
And then it was, I remember, you know, the first change in this, I was in a subsidized housing complex. I was a security guard, right? So
ooh, yeah, that'll do her.
I would leave school at 12 o'clock. I had to drive about 200 or 300 miles. It was 4 hours. I would leave at 12 o'clock. I would arrive on shift to do my security guard job at the subsidized housing complex at 4 p.m. And I would get off at anywhere between midnight and 4 a.m. So I did anywhere between 8 to 12 hours. And I was, in order to pay rent, right? So I'm driving 200 miles away. I'm staying at my parents' place because that's about where they were. It was an old company that I'd known forever. I'd go 200 miles away. It'd be 4 hours and 4-hour drive back. And in a weekend, I would rack up 32-ish hours, 32 to 36 hours. So I worked a full week in a weekend, and that was every weekend while I was in school. So my view is that I'm just a really hardworking guy, and that's just the way it is. And I remember going into the subsidized housing complex, and I remember sitting there. My laptop has finally started to fail because it's my third or fourth year in school, and I've had this one forever and a day. And so I'm starting to take it apart and try to fix it because it's a screen cable is, you know, frayed or something like that. And I, you know, got it apart, got it back together, got it kind of working, and then realized I had to buy a new one. And some woman comes down, and she's singing to her daughter about how she's going to claim her father's money. And and that's when I realized there's malicious people, right? She's not sitting there and saying it wasn't a song about. It wasn't sitting there and saying, hey, you know, today's child support day, I can go get you something, or I can help you with something. It was, haha, today's the day we get your daddy's money. And that's a level of maliciousness that was just, well, you're a fly on the wall when you're working security.
Thanks for tuning in. Today we doing an EBT haul. I hope y'all enjoy this show.
And I remember sitting there, and another guy came in, and these two guys that came in with beer. And meanwhile, this was a weekend that my wife had asked me to go to a party, and I said I can't because, you know, I got to actually pay bills. And so these guys walk in with 230 racks apiece, and then they come down later, about 4 to 6 hours later, and they picked up a hooker. And I have no problems with hookers and or beer. Doesn't bother me in the least. But I don't think that if I'm subsidizing your apartment that you should have money left over for hookers and beer, especially when I'm driving 200 miles and spending 4 hours of my time to get to work and from work and banging out, you know, what I was doing at the time. I thought that was terrible.
Note, babysitting them.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That is fucking true, man. Like those guys, they go out of their way to create, like, and then that's the other thing too, is you end up having to go intervene in these things, and it's like it's poor people creating problems for other poor people, and at the end of the day, by the time I'd done, I think 6 months at that complex, I was just of the opinion that those people are poor because they make poor decisions. That's where it is. There's probably some exceptions to the rule.
People. These are the two types of people that don't have money.
That sure, I'll go with that. There's very few exceptions to that. The point that I was getting to though is this evolution continued, and so that's maliciousness, right? That's a bunch of maliciousness. What you don't really realize, and you don't really quite get online, is the malevolence until you've actually sat across from one of the actual true sociopaths and psychopaths. I know the left likes to run amok and say. Left likes to run amok, and they call everybody a sociopath and psychopath that doesn't agree with their toxic empathy, right? But when you actually sit across from and talk to somebody who is a legit, honest to God psychopath, you know it. You fucking know it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
you
like,
You can tell.
You feel it in the back of your balls, man. It's
it is.
a
It
wake
is
up.
the most terrifying fucking thing, and you just like they
It
will
hits
sit
that
there and they will
uncanny
look you in
valley
the eyes.
place in you.
It is 100%. That's actually what I think the uncanny valley is. I think it's a deep-rooted psychological thing to detect people who detect things that look human but aren't.
And to be fair,
And
autists are the natural enemy of sociopaths and psychopaths. And we all, we all tend a little that way. So, we all have our own superpowers. That's all I'm saying.
When you sit across from one of those people, though, like you realize that there are people who just they have either
not human.
Like humans feel.
Yeah,
Emotions and values are nothing more than a handful of dust.
If I was to wax poetic on the subject, I would say if I was looking for a demon as a facsimile in history, why would we talk about people who are basically skinwalkers? This is the shit that comes to mind. Because it gives you that feeling. You see somebody who's not really a person inside of a person's body.
Yep. And they'll sit down and they will sit down with you and they will have coffee with you and they will talk to you in a normal voice, and you just like, yeah, my one of the companies I got fired from, and I was super glad I got fired because I hated that place. And so I was sitting down in Starbucks, and this guy was sitting there and been coming into the Starbucks, and my wife sent him over to go talk to me to see about if he had a job, and that was fucking terrifying. And what do you find out is that like a month or two later, the guy basically bailed on whatever it was that he was doing. He left a whole bunch of people in the lurch without money. He like killed somebody on the way out. He was wanted for murder in another state. Like when you're sitting down and you're having a conversation with that individual, you just know something's wrong. And I 100% believe that's where the uncanny valley comes in. 100% believe, because they are sitting there, they are pretending to be human, but you know that they are not. And it's like their facial and you can turn around and say autist all you want. I'm not great with facial expressions, but something was off. Some presentation of who and what they are is off.
What you learn about a psychopath is they have to learn how to mimic human emotions that they cannot feel in order to interact with people. And once you find out like that they are in that chameleon kind of state, like they aren't actually, if they react empathetically, that is a learned behavior that is not innate at all.
And that is predator shit.
It's entirely calculated.
And I don't mean Chris, sit down on the fucking, couch predator kind of shit. I mean a fucking snake and a damn mouse predator shit.
Yeah, they're fucking, and that's how you feel.
As
like
people are.
You're, you can turn around and you can be filled with fight or flight all you want. I tend to go straight to fight. I go like I got two modes, and it's calm, happy-go-lucky Steve and murderous rampage Steve. And you sit down with one of those motherfuckers, and there's no desire to fight. Every instinct in your body is screaming to run away as fast as you can. Like every instinct. But the point of this is, that was another one of those experiences. I've met 3 psychopaths in my life. Not diagnosed, right? Not somebody sitting down in front of me. But you'd sit there with these people and you know what you're dealing with.
I think I've met like 1 or 2 in person. Online, I've met more, and that's at least like I know there's distance.
It's tough to know whether you're actually meeting somebody online or they're just acting. But I've definitely go ahead. I've met 2 or 3 in person, and I am very, very glad that I work at a national lab, because it turns out that having a clearance naturally screens out fucking scary ass people.
Yeah.
It really does. But the point that I was getting to is, you look at like the DC thing, once you come to that realization that there's just people who are malevolent, it's not a lot of people who are malevolent, but they are.
But there's
They
some.
want to harm. There's some, and it like you can't fix them, right? You can't fix them, and you can't make them better because what's broken in them is broken on a level and plane that
Well, the thing is,
ignoring
you can't fix them because they
nature.
aren't broken, and that's
That's a
just
fair
the
way
plain
to
and
put it.
simple truth of it. They aren't built the same.
Yeah, that's actually probably a better way to look at it. It's you go through psychology, and psychology still believes in the tabula rasa to some extent. And you sit down, and even though like all the evidence says the other way around, that's the reality. You when it comes to criminality, there are people who are just criminals. They just are. It's not. And they will absolutely
It's
sit
not
there
a
in the
knock against
courtroom.
us in that way.
No, it's not. They just are. It's just it's not a moral judgment. It's not a moral judgment. It's not a I'm better than you. It's not a you agree with me. It's a like they just if they will kill you and then continue to drink their coffee if they thought there weren't police coming after them. They just it doesn't even faze them that there is a problem with their actions. And they can't be trained to believe that because they generally don't have a large enough. They don't generally have an acceptance of deferred gratification. They tend to be very, very immediate needs people.
Let's put this into fully modern terms that a lot of folks are actually going to straight up get. You ever watch Dexter?
Yep.
There you go. If you don't get in there early and teach this killing machine and monster the ways to interact with the world, then it will grow up as a killing machine and a monster.
Yep.
It's as simple as that.
So,
and even then, and even if you train this killing machine and monster to live in the world, it's still a monster that is monstrous, but understands the ways of living in the world for all the good and ill that contains.
Yep. And so when we turn around, we talk about the DC thing. One of my evolution on crime and criminality is that as much as I hate the idea, the people just got to go. Like you just can't turn around and say, you know what? We can help them. We can rehabilitate them. Nope, they just got to go. Right? You're sitting there and shitting on a street. The person who's shitting on a street is not the kind of person that you can fucking fix. Right? If you didn't learn how to fucking shit in a toilet and hold it from like the age 2, it's not a cultural thing. It's like something is fucking wrong with you. You're either on drugs and your brain is fucking miswired and that you can't unfuck that situation, or the individual is just not human. That's just the way it is.
There's
So
a bit of a third category on that, just to clarify, and also to kind of make a point on another story we've spoken on previously that's also again recently gained prominence. There's a black lady who put out a video, a scholarly girl, and she's talking about how most African languages don't contain future tenses.
That was a good video.
Yeah, it's a great video.
They don't contain
and
what?
Here's the thing.
Hold on.
There's not a future.
I didn't.
In a lot of these, there is now, and this is in.
What? No, I can't. I didn't hear you, Evan. What?
There is.
What is it?
There is no tomorrow. To put it in the simplest.
There's no deep time. Deep time,
Africa.
It flows backwards in certain African cultures.
Yeah.
So there's today, tomorrow, and now. Sorry, there's today, tomorrow, and yesterday, and then there's long, long ago.
And long ago, there's
long,
so
long
much
in the future.
more of long ago that is more concrete and more existent and more valid than the.
Now the 4chaners would say this is the 15-minute person, and which is such a wrong way of putting it, but yeah.
What's a 15-minute person?
Craig, you want to do this one?
Oh, fuck. A 15-minute person only exists in 15-minute chunks of time. They're a totally different person in 15 minutes. So when they say I didn't do nothing, they're being honest because it really wasn't that person.
There isn't the conception of that time prior. Have you seen the video with the 3 black guys that have raped a bunch of women, and they're like, "What did you think? What did you consider about the women's feelings?" And they said, "What do you mean if she might report me to the police?" It's exactly that.
So anyway, this woman accurately reflects and articulates upon the findings of a guy, Mbiri or Mbitu, I can't remember what the fuck his name was.
Yeah, but like an African philosopher.
She accurately articulates him, and his scholarly summarization of several sub-Saharan African cultures and so Bantu cultures, Bantu languages, and how that they have this conception of deep time when it goes in the past, but they don't have a concept of deep future in their language. They have like the present, including tomorrow and yesterday, and then they have like deep history. So that is part of what drives their not like a certain laziness, but what I would say she did pretty well in characterizing it as a certain level of enjoyment of the present, which is not characteristic in Western cultures where we have this constant need for progress and thinking of tomorrow. And you can see how there's a happy medium between them that might be something to enjoy, but that there really isn't a happy medium that is present in any culture that is involved in the conversation. So it's fine. So she articulates this pretty well, and the problem is that a lot of people say like she's glorifying this African centric perception of things. It's like, well, no, she's accurately reflecting what this guy said, and she did a pretty good job of it. And he's basically doing an observational study.
So the argument is that one of the reasons that you tend to see certain folks, playing really loud music wherever they go and jumping around and dancing and hooting and hollering.
That's the 4chan. That's the 4chan version.
The eternal now that is always.
That is the Channer interpretation of it. That the 15-minute person was actually a correct meme. It's like, okay, that's supposed to be this. It's very much an Africa-centric thing. It's not an African population that was transmitted across the ocean, stripped of culture thing.
Well, that's true, but that all depends on what. Again, it goes back to desire.
Yeah, there's a nature nurture part of it.
Right.
There's a nature nurture side of it, and there's all kinds of arguments that can be made. But again, the fundamental premise is on the 4chan side is that they were right, even though they were. If they are right at all, it's in a very much gray area way. Fucked up.
Anyone needs to watch her breakdown of this because it's thoughtful and it comes from a position of understanding of those language bases. So,
but that in combination with the one video of the guy about maintenance.
But yeah, it'll be in the links below.
Watch it.
It'll be the God closed my eyes account link.
Put that video. If you juxtapose
can you drop that one in? Can you drop that one in staff chat?
Yeah, it's there.
If you juxtapose that video,
I might actually watch that.
Yeah, it's.
If you juxtapose that video with the one where the guy says you have no conception of maintenance, this is actually what was more prescient as far as the subsequent discussion on it. The idea that maintenance is a far future-thinking component of a culture. That actually, it doesn't have to be broken to fix it.
I can quote a portion of the video that I happen to remember offhand here, and I've got a little bit of transcript from her. For me, I think this Western idea of time as a commodity is what drives the Western obsession with progress, development, and some promised future.
Mm-hmm.
And that's lacking in those ways of thinking and speaking.
Yeah, and again, so like this was the interesting thing is of the observed like Bantu speaking cultures. What is this kind of the state of the conception of time and the idea that there's not a flow forward but a flow backward from the present, like as you said, the eternal present. like that. If you combine that with the video where the guy's talking about maintenance and how there's not even a concept in the culture, let alone the language.
Why? Yeah, and what he said. Why is it that the rails and streets that the British left for you are all gone and ruined? Because you have no idea of maintaining them.
Yeah, and it's like it's not. And he said, "What's the word for maintenance?" And none of them could say it. And he said, "What's the word for repair?" And all of a sudden, they were able to say it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but you see, repair is not the same as maintenance, and then that kind of flew over the head of the people he was talking to at the moment.
Well, but as well it should, because they're based in these methods of thought that don't encompass a future that must be planned for. And in that point, we can actually make a very prescient point that many have made over the years. There aren't really seasons in Africa.
Well, and that's actually one of the more interesting things. If you dive into things like IQ, IQ looks to be very strongly heritable, and you're like, well, for all of the advantages that IQ provides, why do you see this significant difference in African lineages compared to European lineages? And the short version of it is, Europeans evolved in an environment where fundamentally you had to prepare for 6 months, because that's how long things work.
For an unsure future.
You have to be ready for an unsure future. You don't know 6 months ago. Right.
And that's all
and so we evolved, our species evolved in Africa. So pretty much if you turn around and you said, hey,
that's another topic.
For the most part, that's the majority of scientific opinion is we evolved in Africa. And we migrated outwards. The reality is the African environment is very, very conducive to human life, right? And so if you are hyper optimized for your environment, then there's no reason to push evolutionary boundaries in any way, shape, or form. The reality is with any population, there's going to be a bell curve of individuals, and selection pressure just sits there and cuts off individuals on the other end of the bell curve. This does not eliminate or change. This doesn't mean that the continued reproduction of people of the what it means fundamentally is it shifts the bell curve. So a selection pressure will eliminate individuals at the lower performing end of the bell curve, and this will result in a new bell curve evolving at the higher level. So if you turn around and have the ideal environment all the time, then you will never ever face evolution because there's no selection pressure. You're already optimized. If you go to a new environment, you will change and adapt, and IQ and intellect is one of the most important things you could possibly have for things like, winter, right? Sociability is one of the most important things you could have for and the ability to live in large groups is one of the most important things you could have for that environment.
Oh, you mean like considering the, females of your tribe and not... Anyway.
Well,
that dives into some controversial science.
Well, I was going to say, if you're going to go down, talking about females, males, and some of the nuttiness going on there, one of the funnier things I saw was the guy who went to Africa to try to explain to a tribe what transgender is.
That was Matt Walsh.
Yes.
That was the funniest fucking thing is, you guys understand what transgender is? Like, no. And then when the tribal leader finally understood it, couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
But if we weave this back to the point of origin, I think that we're all in consensus that the bottom line is you have people who are criminals, and the only way to deal with them is to deal with criminals. You can't turn around and be nice and hope that they're going to somehow...
What do you do with monsters?
You're nice. You got to lock them up.
Iran actually came up with some of the idea there.
Can live amongst people.
I suppose you could just force transition them.
Well, I don't think... We're talking about criminality.
That goes down I know, but that goes down the cruel and unusual road, which I don't like.
That's true.
Well,
to be
trans
fair,
people
aren't.
As a naive
statement. The transgender issue in Iran, so it does have results, but
I think the more pertinent issue is crime and punishment in the United States, and when you look at the thing like DC is a perfect example. Does it
I don't
suck
think
that we
more
have to
trans
do
people
this?
is going to help DC. I don't think trans
I'm
is
not.
going to help
I
DC.
don't. I wasn't
We feel they
talking
got
about trans
enough.
people. I don't know how you got
I,
on that. We were.
I thought it was funny. I think they've got enough of those. I think that's not going to improve the criminality conditions.
I
And
think.
perhaps a different way, like just
I,
locking them up, will.
Well, I think that's generally what we're going to have to see, right? Like we've tried the gentle parenting approach to society, and now it's time
Yeah.
for the fucking stick. Everybody's got to get spanked, and that's just the way it is. And I think what's going to end up happening is the left is going to. The funny part is that every single time Trump actually does step into these things between the left and the right, he does something. The left says it's cruel, it's awful, it's whatever, and things actually change and they improve. And that's one of the reasons
credit.
they still can't give him credit.
Funny.
Oh no.
Right? Like it'll be when 6 months
It's all
from now.
backhanded.
6 months from now, when DC's crime rate fucking collapses, they're gonna sit there and say, "But at what cost?"
Oh, actually,
right? That'll be what the article will be.
No. I have to mention this because it was so perfect. So there's some lady lives in D.C. and she's like, I've been carjacked. I think she said 3 times, and I've had my arm broken, and I would rather have my arm broken than for things to be done the way they are now. Anyway, she has since deleted her account.
I bet she
Dumb bitch. Fuck you.
Well,
fucking dumb it.
I do you guys watch Homath?
I follow Homath a bit.
I do on occasion. Yeah, he's good.
So Homath is a little bit extreme, and I swear to God, I think he's getting more and more extreme as time goes on.
He has this fucking diary. It's fucking funny.
He has a what?
His little coloring book, his diary.
Yeah.
That's something I know. I know it's important to him, but I think it's fucking funny that he's got a little colorful diary. His dear diary about how women have wronged him.
Yeah, he definitely comes off to me as like somebody who's a little bit more bitter than he should be. He does have a lot of really good points on psychology. If you want to go for like the worst aspects of social media is that people who tend to make the most extreme statements get the most visibility. And I think that's kind of the case. Like, I honestly think he's going a little bit extreme on a lot of his stuff. But I also, like, there is a truth to what he says. And when you turn around and you deal with women for a very long period of time, I was progressive. I believe very firmly in feminism. I believe in the equality of men and women. But what you find out after you're actually like married to one and living with one for multiple years is they're just fucking different.
They're different.
They're fucking different, right? There's pluses to that. Like I don't think I would be as good of a person without my wife. She absolutely 100% is a positive influence in how I interact with the world and how I see the world and perspective. It's a balanced thing. But I'm the N+1 vote.
I mean,
and
to be fair,
and
by that same notion, I mean, I wouldn't be the miserly, untrusting person that I am today if it weren't for all the women in my life.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Mine's been a positive influence. I think
on the whole, they are an influence. That's what we can conclude.
Yes.
On the whole, they are an influence. I do think that there is like the male energy and the female energy. They need to balance each other out. I think that women generally should not be in charge of society. They shouldn't have an N+1 vote. And realistically, like I thought, what was it? Was it Heron? Who's the guy who does the Whatever podcast?
Yeah, I know you're talking about
those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So whoever did it, he turned around and he had a feminist on, and he said, "I don't think that women's rights exist." And she says, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Basically, men give women rights." And she goes, "Well, yeah, but we fought for those rights." And he goes, "Yeah, but men gave them to you." And she goes,
"Who voted for them?"
Yeah. and then he turned around and he said something along the lines of, "And do you believe that women can outdo men in combat?" And she's like, well, no. Like men technically have an edge, but we've got all this equipment that might make it better. He goes, "Yeah, but if men have the same equipment and they have a technical edge, who do you think's going to win?" Well, men would win a competition of force. And so he says, so ultimately your rights are nothing more than whatever we give you.
But yeah.
That must have been an eye-opening moment for her.
Well, she was
Well,
stumbling
how do I
through
argue this?
it was longer than I expected to be of her trying to like argue that point, but his thing didn't change my perspective. I've had that perspective for a while on social movements. Things like, it's not that all of a sudden the plight of the black people caused Americans to rise up and fight a fucking war over slavery. A bunch of white people decided we don't like this, and then we fought a war over slavery.
Well,
It
no,
would have
we didn't fight
continued
a war over
indefinitely
slavery. That
for
was a
however
tampon
long.
thing, just to be fair.
And the
but
same
yeah.
thing's true for the women's rights movement. It's not like everybody turned around and said, "Oh my God, look at all these women marching in the street. Whatever are we going to do?" We turned around
Here's
and
what
said,
you do, Steve.
all that could have happened is men could have just said, "Nah, we're not going to do that. We don't care."
So, Steve, that's actually a very pointed issue. Here's a very convenient point on that one. Whenever you have to engage with one of these creatures to discuss, women's rights, ask them who were the people who made the 19th Amendment and women's rights happen, the suffragists or the suffragettes, and they never get that correct. It was the suffragists who voted for it and made it happen. The suffragettes were just a bunch of angry harpies in photos.
Yep. But I have definitely seen that. But I think one of the problems that you have is that I think women have an important voice at the table. I also don't think they should be controlling the conversation.
Yeah, at the table, at the house.
At the table. Well, I mean, I think that they can have more representation than that. But like they offer a perspective that I think men need, right? Like I think that men they tend to offer the empathetic perspective, and men tend to focus on. So I've talked about this before. There's the X, Y, and Z axes of performance, right? Men focus on cost versus benefit. Women focus on benefit well, actually, they focus more on. Yeah, they don't really factor in cost. They factor in more benefit versus perception, right? And sometimes, very rarely, the cost-benefit curve can say you might get a ton of perception for a very small cost improvement, and it might skew your perspective a little bit, but you get a whole bunch more positive perception from those around you. And women tend to be much better at picking those perception gaps out than men are, right? We are hyper-optimized on cost versus benefit. And realistically, cost versus benefit is far more important. But if it costs me, like if I turn around and have to spend, if I have a $0 to $100 scale for cost and a $0 to $100 benefit, and there might be something that's at 50-50, but if my cost is 51, but I get a whole bunch more positive perception from all the social groups around me, that is hugely advantageous, even if it costs more for the same thing. Costs slightly more for the same thing. So women are very valuable in that regard.
Indeed.
But you also have to keep in mind that focus on perception, that focus on empathy, that focus on perception, it is very detrimental to the cost because they don't factor in costs in their judgment of things. So whenever you turn around and deal with these like empathetic women who are sitting there and posting shit like that woman did in DC, you got to keep in mind that she's sitting there and saying, hey, it's mean to do this to other people. And she's right. It is mean. What we're doing is mean. 100% sending all the troops in, rounding up all the fucking criminals, kicking all the homeless people out. It's mean.
Now, I have there is something I
however,
specifically have to say to that because somebody addressed that specific comment. And I've just got to say this. And it was, we have two options. We can say no to women sometimes, or we can have a genocide that fills the oceans with blood.
I've seen stuff like that. Yeah.
But anyway,
but
please, continue.
the point that I was making is what she's saying is correct, but what she's missing is all of the damage that is done by not taking those actions. So all of the property values are decreased because the overall crime rates are higher. This means that black communities where crime tends to be much more prevalent will have lower value homes because they have higher levels of crime. Extra policing in these neighborhoods would actually improve the overall wealth of Black Americans. That's a good example of not taking action. Not taking action seems nice and generous to the criminal. However, the consequence to the rest of the populace is much larger. But in the case of DC, you have a whole bunch of people occupying park space that other people are paying for. You have people who are sitting there, and I don't have a personal issue with weed or cigarette smoke or whatever, but they're kind of making the air smell nasty, or they've got public drunkenness out there, and that sits there and makes it less hospitable to other people. This decreases tourism.
Well, it's the
So
broken window
making
thing.
things nice. It's what?
It's the broken window thing. One broken window invites another,
Right.
invites graffiti.
Well, not quite
cetera.
the same thing. My
Well,
point
it's
is
not, but
it's
analogy
more of a
isn't lost on this.
it's a spider versus the fly argument, right? Like you walk upon a web and you see a fly and a spider moving towards it. Yes, the fly will die if you don't intervene, but if you do intervene, then the spider will starve. And so the negative impacts of pulling the fly out of the web aren't immediately apparent. However, they are no less painful or long term. And this is, I think, the problem that you have with this progressive view on criminality is that, yes, it's mean to the criminals. Yes, it's mean to the homeless people. But if you start thinking about the second order effects of not intervening, it's far worse for everyone else. It's a distributed stochastic problem that is probably quantifiable.
Well, no, it's specifically quantifiable and qualifiable. We now have El Salvador, and we can look and see concrete evidence of what happens when you do and when you do not address these problems directly.
Yep.
And the numbers speak loudly. They scream.
They do. That's it, and to be honest, as much as I don't like the idea of the National Guard being moved against American citizens. I don't like it. I'll be honest. I really don't. If my choice was, I think I've talked about when I went to Colorado and I saw downtown Denver and it broke my heart. And I saw downtown Boulder, Colorado, and it broke my heart. And these cities are both like, the liberals in there, they're like, well, it's not that bad. And I come from an area, I come from a conservative area. We don't have none of that shit, right? We have none of that shit. I've got very nice bars and nightclubs and all of this other stuff that, the classic melting pot all around me. Great food, great shows, all whole bit. But we don't have any of that problem. You go there and you see this, and it's just very, very sad. And so what's going to end up happening is I don't want to see the National Guard marching through city streets, rounding people up. I don't want to see that. I'll be honest. But once it's done and it's enforced, the streets will be clean. The tents will be gone. The drugs won't be there. The crime rate will drop. It's going to be safe for kids. It's going to be really hard to turn around and argue with the results. The strongman thing is going to win. It's going to win elections. It's going to win elections here. It's going to win elections in the UK. It's going to win. It's going to become the social policy of the future. Is unfortunately probably what I would call authoritarian, but that's because the consequence of the rest of it has been fucking shit.
Very true.
Yeah, that's where we are. Weimar times, unfortunately, lead to Weimar solutions. Yes, it's getting late. So I've got one. It is good news, but it's underhanded good news, and I've got some real good news. So we'll start with the underhanded one here. Out of Third Way. If you're not familiar with their works, you're familiar with their works. Anyway, out of Third Way, shared via Playbook DC, there's a new blacklist. I know, blacklist of words that Democrats should not use, and I will read amongst just a few. You're going to love this. Amongst the blacklisted terms privilege, violence, not just violence, mind, in quotations, as in environmental violence, dialoguing, triggering, othering, microaggression, holding space, body shaming, subverting norms, systems of oppression, cultural appropriation, Overton window, existential threat to the climate, democracy, the economy, radical transparency, stakeholders, the unhoused, food insecurity, housing insecurity, person who immigrated. Are you fucking serious? I'm glad they didn't try that one. That's birthing person. Yes. Good call there, definitely. Anyway, cisgender, dead naming, heteronormative, patriarchy, LGBTQIA+, BIPOC, ally
patriarchy,
incarcerated people, or involuntary confinement. And this is not in any way an exhaustive list, but I will include the Politico article that's actually got kind of the whole thing there, so that anybody who's interested can peruse at your leisure. It's quite the read. Quite the
So
read.
basically all progressive language from the last 10 years.
Yeah, so that progressive stack shit, you need to get that shit the fuck out. It is losing us elections.
So interesting.
Isn't it? It is, it's really quite something. So on the previous statement, we had a Supreme, well, we didn't really go into it, but the SCOTUS, they ruled 5-4 that Trump can cut the $783 million in NIH DEI funding, so fuck off.
No shit.
Enjoy.
The president can do stuff with executive departments.
You know, you can just do
I
things.
Fucking floored.
And also...
speaking of just doing things, I made chocolate a couple days ago.
Oh, really?
So that's still pretty fucking awesome.
Nice.
You can just make... It turns out you can just make chocolate. You don't have to go to a fucking store to buy it. You can just make it.
You can. You can just
yeah, but I bet you it's more expensive.
Too.
Well, it depends on how much your hours.
It's really not.
It's
so much
on
cheaper.
Your hourly rate, but yeah, another
it's
one. Now,
cheaper. Well, yeah, his is zero.
Oh. anyway.
I'm going. If there's going to be a day where you come to me for a consult, and it's going to be so fucking expensive. I'm going to cite your ass too.
Oh my.
Well, that might be true, but in the meantime, I'm going to go everybody else for a consult. Or everybody else is going to come to me for a consult.
Well, anyhow, as of the 21st, we have 0 homicides, carjacking rate down 83%, robberies down 46%, and violent crime down overall 22% in D.C. via, I don't know, whatever it is that's going on in D.C. now that's made things different. Another fun little bit of news. We've had a Trump administration edict from the top to review 55 million people, all of which are U.S. visa holders, for any potential deportable violations. Good job, Donnie. And a weird one that there's not much on yet, but there might end up being. There's a little bit of fuckery surrounding Hulk Hogan and his demise. Don't know what yet, but there's something's weird there. There's notes of medical malpractice and rumors of possibly more. Don't have any more on that than that, unfortunately. But as more avails itself, I'll be more than happy to share. And in the final little bit of good news, we have a judge out of Minnesota that has struck down the state's binary trigger law, which, as you might imagine, made them illegal, as unconstitutional, which is exactly how it should have been ruled. So as of, I guess, Monday, Tim Walz can fuck off and eat a dick. Which, I don't know.
I think he already does that.
That's what I was going to say. It's probably like, well, okay, sounds like a nice day for him. But, hey, there you go. Actually, you know what? I have got one last good news bit for you, because there was a terrible, horrifyingly bad piece of news out of Germany we shared, I think, last year, of a man at a protest against illegals killing people that got that disarmed an illegal that was stabbing people, and
Oh, right, the guy who
yeah, he
got
was
stabbed.
like, "Hey, stop that brown man that's stabbing people." And then the police, of course, came over and arrested him. And then the brown man that was stabbing people came over and stabbed the police officer. Because that's how it goes. There's something out of New York, actually, New York City. Matter of fact, I think just yesterday, some guy with a longboard and some black guy with a fucking knife in his hand. Black guy's threatening him. The guy with the longboard's like, "Fuck off, dude. Fuck off."
Yep.
And he doesn't. And he lunges at
and
the
you
guy.
can see the knife.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
no,
see
it's
the
cool.
knife in the
It,
fucking
like,
camera.
It glints in the light. And he comes at the guy hits him with a board, bashes him back. And at that moment, not a moment sooner, well, wouldn't you know, there's a police officer right there on the spot, ready to go ahead and arrest.
I believe I was ready to watch that video earlier.
And well, he goes to get him, but the videoer is like, officer, no, he has a knife. And then they put the taser on the guy. So progress, I'll take it. Baby steps.
Small progress, yeah.
But then again, this is New York City. That's not a baby step for New York City. I mean, they let motherfuckers get burned alive on the fucking subway. So that's a big step in New York. So I'll take it. Kind of sad that that's a big step.
Well,
hey, we take our wins.
So
to
be fair, right? With the way things have been going, I don't think Hochul's the canary in the coal mine. And if I remember correctly, this election, it got down to like 55-45, which is not, it's not, like you got 10 points you got to swing. Well, 5% of the vote you got to swing. It's not margin of error stuff is, I guess, the point that I'm trying to make.
Sure.
But it is within shot of turning New York purple.
Fair.
Or
Yeah.
instead of it being, what is it? I can't remember what it is. They have leans Dem, safe Dem, leans rep, safe rep. Instead of it going from, it would be moving it from safe Dem to leans Dem.
And that's big.
And yeah, it is. And we'll see. I hope that we get some sort of resolution on things like counting illegal immigrants for seats. I don't think Trump's idea of a new census is going to work out so well.
Yeah, I'm hoping that goes a certain direction, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, if it doesn't include illegals, it'll be a very interesting number, to be sure.
I don't know. Well, there's other aspects too,
right? I would
right?
not be surprised at all if California was like, "Oh, we don't have any illegals here. We have this many actual all legal people. Here you go."
I think California is going to have other problems too because they shut down for as long as they did under COVID.
Also,
right.
Yeah.
So
Never mind
there's a whole lot of people who have left COVID because of their policies. And so when you start talking about gearing up for the 2026 midterms, they probably have lost a seat or two.
Yeah, never
because
mind
it takes time to move people.
Because that's a whole nother thing.
Right.
Which,
yeah,
by the way, we should probably
that's...
hit that next week because I'd like to this week, but honestly, things are heating up. Like the Florida thing happened,
I don't think
or the Texas thing is for sure happening. And Gavin's like, all right, well, fine, I'm going to redistrict California. And so we've got like 5 other states that are like, do it. Fucking bet. So, well,
I didn't. Are there other states that are claiming or
they're
looking
like,
to do that?
Fucking dare you.
Like who?
North Carolina, Tennessee, I think, maybe Virginia, but legitimately like 7 states.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I mean, it is exactly that. Very interesting.
Gavin is angling really, really hard for a presidential ticket run.
Speaking of angling,
and so
Gavin dashes.
And so, like to be fair, the Democrats really, really want somebody who's doing something. And he has been working really, really hard. I don't think it'll go well for him. I think a lot of it depends on how the economy turns out at the end of Trump's 4 years. But
I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it's about the money, stupid, basically.
It really is. It always is. However, I do think that the Dems are in between a rock and a hard place because they don't have anybody who's taking any action within their party. And so Gavin Newsom trying to show the Dems, and that's really what he's doing. He's basically making the argument, I can be just like Trump. I can actually sit there and wield the tools of government.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's what he's
he
doing.
Can. That is true.
But
oh yeah.
And you notice what's happened.
At the end of the day, you got states like Illinois and Massachusetts, which are strikingly gerrymandered. And this is the thing: is the Dems have gerrymandered everything. Now, I'm not saying both sides do it, right? It's not a Democrats do this and Republicans are squeaky clean. Both sides do it. But the thing is, it like everything. When we say both sides do it, but the Democrats go at it harder.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Like hard.
Yep.
Yes, quite. Exactly that. Oh, I found a. You know what? I'm going to include this as a last link on the thing here because it's so great. It's a tweet out of Breaking 9/11 saying just dictatorship, dystopian fascism, and just shows a horrifying video of National Guardsmen, violently ripping a woman's grocery cart away and just carrying it down the stairs while imprisoning her hand in his elbow as they walk down the stairs, and then he lets her nicely go and places the thing down.
A horror.
Yeah, because this is becoming rather common. How silly the time.
What is going on?
There's a lot of
horrible
people
violence.
That really, really appreciate what's happening in DC. Quite a lot. And funny enough, a lot of them aren't white. Huh. Go figure. Anywho, I'd say that pretty well covers the points we were wanting to make for the week. So is there anything else you guys want to cover or anything? Because I think we did pretty well on all the high points.
A lot of them. Let's see. I don't see anything in the chat. Then again, it would basically be me, you, and
there is one other real interesting, fun end of the night story we can throw in there.
Okay.
Been a recent move that will put a full-on, from the top down, federal ban on central bank digital currencies. Doesn't stop them from gaming Bitcoin or whatever, but at least it does, make things more difficult for the people that are awful. So, hey, cool. How's that? Man, that's actually a couple of decent, good couple of decent stories to end the night. I'll take it. And things go well. We might have a Brit of a slightly more patriotic bent in the very near future. So keep your eyeballs and earballs peeled for that one.
Alrighty.
But anywho, everybody, been an absolute pleasure sharing the show with you. So if you do me a solid and share the show around yourself, that would mean a lot to us all. And with that, you can find my man Craig Bob99. You can find Steve at Ratman720. I'm Evan. You can find me at that fake guy Dan. And the show, of course, at Fake Untitled Productions. And everybody, be well, be safe. It's a little bit easier these days to be safe, especially if you're in D.C. And we'll see how Monday looks. Might be that Chicago becomes a nice town to live in again. We'll see, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that's going to be hard for him to justify to the courts.
Yeah, the court.
It'd be nice if the state did it on its own.
It would, but the court of public opinion
it would
very well might treat him just as well as the many folks.
So I think the smarter play would be in red states with blue cities to have the red state governor invite him in to go take care of the crime problem. That would be a much smarter play than confrontation with the blues.
Yeah.
And then I think because one, do all first. Don't forget, every single blue that gets locked up in this way is getting a felony charge and can't vote. So it actually, improves everything. Taking a few thousand people out of each state that would be, some of these more populous cities. But there's a lot of red states that if you go after the blue cities and the governor can authorize that, it becomes it becomes a less of a PR nightmare, less of a court battle.
It's a win-win, but it is what it is, and bless his
and then
heart
on top of that, you have something that you can talk. Because what you should really be aiming for is that he should be aiming for having the most results that he can possibly have come the midterms. And if he's cleaned up 12 or 15 cities and he's got the crime stats to show that, that will have a massive impact. But if he's deciding to fight blue state governors with the authorization of their National Guard, instead of going after the low-hanging fruit, which is red states with blue cities, he's basically setting it up so that basically he looks confrontational rather than him sitting there and saying, yep, I'm just operating within my authority. And, oh, yeah, by the way, this is all of the statistics that we improved. We got this much of a reduction by doing it our way. That's how you sell a vision.
Well, to be fair, I mean, they are getting the results, even with all the screaming and hollering. So,
but you don't want to get locked up in a court battle.
That's true, and there's plenty of them. But also,
there's plenty of other, spend your political capital wisely.
Yeah, fair. But, we've got a guy that's not worrying about his own next election and just other people's, so he's a little freer to act than, might otherwise be. So,
as long as he doesn't,
see how this all plays.
As long as he doesn't taint J.D. Vance, he's basically good to go.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, God damn. I mean, the memes. Anyway, everybody,
yes.
Been a wonderful show tonight. A pleasure to actually share a hint of good news and perhaps the whiff of a bright future. And take that aroma of a wonderful future with you into the week. And thank you all for tuning in. There you go. So, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again real soon. Share the show around. Leave a comment. Leave a like. And be well. Be safe out there.